All my bad ass bitches, fuck them jealous ass bitches. All my bad ass bitches, fuck them jealous ass bitches. All my bad ass bitches, fuck them jealous ass bitches. All my bad ass bitches, fuck them jealous ass bitches. I'm a badass bitch, and let you know I ain't with that bullshit. You get me wrong, I'm a walk in this bitch. His shit, your shit, all shit. Cause all I'm trying to do is keep it real and let you you know how I feel. I'm not asking, I'm demanding for respect. And if not, it's your chin, I'm gon' check. Respect me when I come through. Looking good, time 10 with my crew. Brush you off, you flaw, who you? Trying to see, girl, you weak. Do your thing, it's your thing, don't be scared. The men I got them and you don't have to blame. The style I got beside you, don't want to you. Cause you's a hoe, a jealous hoe, you know it too. Stop it, now you hoes, don't be about shit. You jealous girls, always worried about a bitch. You jealous girls ain't gon' never have shit. Oh, jealous girls always worried about a bitch. Them jealous girls, and you know it too. You arguing with your man, fighting about me, boo. And he ain't home, you call him up, swearing he's with me. And yes, he is. Jacuzzi's in the bed. Breaking bread, giving head, and you hating me. I'm looking good, representing why you hating me. Hate your man, he's a dog, and he's dogging you. I'm getting mine, this is fine. On your mind, you fool. Get it right, don't be jealous, taking plotting on me. It's your man, need to dip if you ain't wanting to be. With his games and his lies, got you jealous of me. Got you one right by, late night to see. You car parked outside, done blowed your high. Got you fucking up the shit, got you wanting to fight. Him when I turn him loose, you so jealous of me. Wondering what it is I do, I ain't wanting to leave. Now you hoes don't be about shit. You jealous girls, always worried about a bitch. You jealous girls ain't gon' never have shit. Oh, jealous girls always worried about a bitch. Them jealous girls. Woman, wonder how I did this. How I say break that thing. I'm the bad bitch. Get mine all the time. Y'all be losing your mind. Trying to find out what I'm doing. Know the place and the time. Get a light, dumb bitch. Why you worry about me? Get your own shit, bitch. Stop hating, plotting on me. My shit together, got it all. Never taking the fall. Airtight, much love, bitch. I ain't worried at all. Now you hoes don't be about shit. You jealous girls always worried about a bitch. Them jealous girls ain't gon' never have shit. Oh, jealous girls always worried about a bitch. Them jealous girls don't be about shit. You jealous girls always worried about a bitch. Them jealous girls ain't gon' never have shit. Oh, jealous girls always worried about a bitch. Them jealous girls, bitches, fuck them jealous bitches. On my bad ass bitches, fuck them jealous bitches. On my bad ass bitches, fuck them jealous bitches. On my bad ass bitches, fuck them jealous.
What's going on, Conscious crew? It is your favorite breakdown coming here to CTV. Welcome to another riveting episode of the Consciouztv platform. Hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful hump day. We are in the middle of the week. It's only 2 days away from the weekend when you can pop that puss, honey. Okay, so let's give it up for Miss Wednesday, who's also my favorite Addams family member. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I am feeling splendid, girl. You guys know I had some contracting. I've been doing some renovations to my home, girl. So it's been good. I did some renovations to my kitchen, got a brand new stove. Everything went well. So it's been like a busy day. And even right now, I'm waiting on some packages to come. So yeah, I will not be here, Halo Room, for 8 goddamn hours, okay? A bitch does have a life, sugar, okay? But we're going to be here for a good little second to get into some interesting esoteric things. But before we do so, you already know what I need you guys to do, which is thumbs up the hell out of this video, girl. Thumbs up until it is absolutely stuck. Not only does thumbing up help with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you thumbs up a video, you are literally knocking on the digital door of other Conscious crew members who have no idea that we're live and in color in this moment. So run those thumbs up, girl. Whether the thumbing up is whether you're thumbing up, girl. Whether you are a Bush baby, whether you are a active member in these streets right now, or even a part of the replay gang, your thumbs up matters tremendously and significantly here, okay? Also, make sure that you have your own notification bell set to all, and make sure that you share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, girl, whether that is YouTube, your Insta story, Snapchat, your Plenty of Fish account, girl, Black Planet, the dark side of Twitter and Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't give a damn where you lay the lane, honey. Just let them whores know that we are loud, live, and in color. And with no further ado, you already know what it do. Let's go ahead and push on through. Okay?
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on, you guys? Let me shout out to baby mother. Girl, I got an old nasty cash app. Girl, I live for when y'all be cash apping me, girl, before the show even start, girl. Y'all just be setting it all the way off, honey. Shout out to my baby mother, Monica. Thank you so much, love. She says, for love. Thank you, and I receive all of it. Bless you, bless you, bless you. You guys know that all email, donation information, Patreon, all that stuff is in the description box below, and it's always in the scroll, and it's also right here as my name, $ Consciouztv. Thank you and love you long time. Let me go ahead and speak to some of you guys who are coming into the sanctuary. What's going on, Rajon? Hey, boo. What's going on, Sabby? Hey, Auntie Yvette. Hey, Star. What's going on, Cynthia? Hey, Kiwana. What's going on, Sheree? What's going on, Lisa? Hey, boo. And congratulations to winning your court case, girl. Hallelujah, honey. The saints are always prevailing. What's going on, Caitlin? What's going on, Valkymie's Alchemy? Hey, boo. What's going on? Hey, Fire Sign Speaks. I will be glad to see the day you make it to the boob tube and report on world news. What is boob? What is boob tube? I've never heard of boob tube, and I don't really get it. World news is not my thing. You know, I mean, you know, we sprinkle it about here and there, but it's a whole nother energy. It's a whole nother vibration, you know. What's going on, Ripple and Waves, who says, what do y'all think about Lizzo? Well, when the title reads Lizzo, we're definitely getting to what we think. Today, we're here to talk about them goddamn aliens that also ain't thinking about no damn Lizzo. What's going on, Shark Tank Live? What's going on, Kanisha? Hi, Sabby. What's going on, Brielle? Hey, Demetria. What's going on, Natasha? Hey, love. Hey, Carolyn. Hey, boo. What's going on, Adora? Hi, what's going on, Majestic? Cheryl. What's going on, Miss Lady J? Hi, hey, Laroon. Hey, Sexy Nessa. What's going on? Hey, Jessica. Hey, love. Hey, everybody. Hey, Cookie. Hey, Phyllis. What's going on, Samson? Hey, y'all. So, do we got any church announcements to get into before we get started right now? I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm leaving something out. Well, I guess while we're waiting on folk to pile up in here, girl. Hey, Ashley. Hey, everybody. Y'all continue to thumbs up, girl. Thank you for the hair color. This is the hair color I was telling y'all about the other day. I got this color from using Adore, who you guys know, Arctic Fox and Adore are my favorite hair dye coloring brands. Any color y'all see has come from either one of them whores, okay? But this came from Adore's Sky Blue mixed with Jade. So I mixed both Jade and Sky Blue from the Adore hair dye collection. I did the watercoloring method, and this is what I got. And I'm actually thinking about cutting this a little bit shorter because I want an old nasty corporate bob, girl. This kind of giving me slutatious length, but I kind of want like corporate length. This is giving me very much so like round the way girl length, girl. Okay, I want to give it I'm a lady length. Yes, honey. Okay, but this will do for right now, honey. I got here videos coming for you guys, so you guys just be prepared for that. Also, I want to talk a little bit before we get off into like this crazy ass shit that's going on over in Miss Congress, girl. Let's just talk a little bit about social media, girl. Y'all know like the whole gender sexuality conversation has been like a roller coaster since it began last week. And I'm going to be honest, through my interactions, it's with a lot of dumbass people, because I had to talk to a lot of dumbass people. I had to interact with a lot of dumbass people. I had to engage a lot of dumbass people for a week and a half, girl. I'm almost disgusted with humanity right now. Like, I kind of got a bit of a fucking attitude because I just can't believe how stupid and dumb humanity is. And it just reinforces this very introverted part of me that already is very like, fuck humanity, girl. But it just makes me want, like, I want to go hibernate until the rapture comes, bitch. Because girl, sometimes when I deal with people, like, when people get too dumb for me, when it gets too dumb for me, girl, it just makes, like, God send the flood. Send the flood, girl. Because it's too much. Okay, what's going on, Kwame? What's going on, Krishan? Hey, y'all. Hey, Demetria. It be giving too much, girl. Do y'all ever feel like that, girl? Like, when people just get too dumb for you, girl, it's just like, girl, go ahead and just send by fire, by water, girl, paper or plastic, how you want the end of the world to come, girl. Like, just go ahead and just, girl. Like, sometimes my prayers are, girl, kill everyone once and for all. Like, destroy all these people. Like, hello? Knock on heaven's door. Let's wrap this shit up, honey. Where's the period on the end of the sentence, girl? Okay? So, I can't do it, girl. Like, I feel like I had to, I feel like I was I've been in a sucking place for a week and a half. Just like, are people serious? Like, are people really serious? Like, they dead ass serious, girl. Woo! Girl, like, I be understanding now why I be involved in shootouts and shit, girl. Cause girl, it's just time for the Lord to send the goddamn girl, send the exterminator, child. Okay, I just cannot. I can't. And like, just to show you how stupid people are, and just how raggedy social media is, right? Like, I was on Instagram minding my business, and Larry had joined the chat, girl, and we was just kikiing, doing our usual like banter back and forth, and I was like teasing him and bullying him about leaving my text message on red since yesterday, because you guys know we carry on when we get together. And some dumb, raggedy, edgeless, having ass heathen whore in the chat is like, what man is upset at another man? Didn't text him back, bitch. This ain't a man who upset at another man, for one, girl. Nobody is upset, for one. For two, these two men that you're looking at, girl, are actual friends, bitch. Third of all, girl, this is banter. So, girl, like, what's going on with you today? Like, vaginosis got you down? Like, what's happening for you, Miss Mama? Because what type of bitch is concerned about two men she don't know personally to begin with while we asking questions? What bitch is concerned about two perfect strangers to begin with, girl? What bitch even thinks it's her business, since we all got questions, girl, and we need answers, girl? Do folk ever ask themselves, girl, when they asking you so pressed, do they ever be asking, girl, why they so pressed about you being pressed? Do they ever do that, girl? Do pressed people ever ask themselves, girl, why they themselves are so pressed? Do they? People do not know how to stay in their swim lane. Okay, what's going on, BS? Hey, Caitlin. What's going on, Rumors and Tea? Hey, girl. So I was just like, once again, God, send the flood. Because, see, I can already tell, because, like, this whole gender conversation has been, like, stupid for the past week and a half, girl, it done put me on, like, Ready, Set, Go, girl. And I'm just like, girl, what, girl? that church going Baptist Southern CTV, girl, is about to go out the window, and it's about to be on ready energy every day, girl. Ready, set, go. Just stomping on these niggas. Okay? They are beyond nosy, nothing to do, and all to do it. You know, look, I almost forgot Larry was a pastor, girl, because I was about to let Hab in that chat. Girl, I was about to let go and let all of God, and even if Satan wanted to part-time my body temporarily, girl, I was about to. But moving along, let's get into while we here, girl. I I don't feel like enough people are talking about this girl, the things that's transpiring right now, girl. I mean, have you guys heard that our Congress, girl, our U.S. government is finally, or at least part of our U.S. government, are finally confronting the reality of alien, extraterrestrial, interdimensional presence on the earth, girl. Have y'all heard about this? Congress held a 2-hour-long plus hearing addressing other government military personnel about retrieving biologic, non-human consciousness from the crashed sites of extraterrestrial technologies. Literally, we're debriefing, interrogating, questioning folk who have some type of proximity and who are adjacent to alien life and interaction of all kinds, girl. Have you guys heard this? Shout out to my baby mother Tina Cole. Thank you. Thank you, baby mother Tina Cole. How doing, you guys? Let me cart my baby mother up. Thank you, Tina Cole, for the motivation you gave to me. I love you, Nick, and I love you even more, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Girl, so you guys know, this has been what conspiracy theories like myself, who have lived for years, this is our time to shine, bitch. Okay? All the folk who had the tinfoil hat on, girl, their whole life, girl. All the folk who was telling y'all, girl, about the sky people and the folk from the stars, baby. All the folk who was deemed as crazy, who was telling y'all they had them been abducted and probed all up inside of their ass, girl. Had them got whole BBL surgeries done on the spacecraft, girl. All them folk y'all said and called crazy, girl, who talked about orbs and spaceships and shit, putting crop circles in they damn carrot fields, girl. All them folk, girl, who was telling y'all that they had saw a light. Caroline had saw a light in the middle of the night, baby. And her gown became undone, baby. And her virgin breast, girl, just passed through walls and went up into some high-level Illuminati-ass technological ship, girl, to get pep smears done and shit, baby, by folk with big-ass heads and black eyeballs, girl. And I ain't talking about your baby daddies. I ain't talking about your sneaky links, baby. That's not who I'm describing, sugar. I know big-ass head and black eyes, baby. It's a description of some of the men y'all done been with, girl, and got right next to you right now. I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about them alleged Martians, girl. Okay, those alleged gray aliens and things, girl, where your military and your government are coming together to allegedly, girl, to get into some things as it relates to the extent of these rescue missions and these retrieval missions regarding alien technology and alien bodies, girl. So we're gonna go ahead and begin with an old nasty piece of fair use, girl. And girl, y'all get ready, baby, because we're gonna be giving commentary up and through this, girl. Okay, this is courtesy of CBS News. This is titled Households Hearing on UFOs and Government Transparency, girl. Full this mother-loving closure, child. Let me go ahead, hold on, and put up my old nasty piece of fair use, child. Cause, honey, I want y'all thoughts, baby. Y'all think this genuine? Do y'all think this is a psyop, girl? What y'all think going on, girl? Why y'all think they doing this, girl? Why y'all think, girl, they finally coming forward, girl, with what folk been reporting to the LAPD and the Las Vegas PD and the Hoover, Alabama police and shit, girl? Folk been reporting shit up in the sky, ships as large as football fields hovering over whole neighborhoods, girl. Okay. There's been massive sightings of triangular ships and orbs over the Nevada skies, girl. This shit been going on for decades and decades and decades of eons, girl. So why y'all think the government, girl, is finally yabba dabba doing, girl, and opening up Pandora's box as it relates to Why? In the words of Kiwana, now. Why? This stuff been going on. Military personnel, professional jet fighters, commercial pilots have all reported. Not just everyday civilians, girl, who is easy to say, okay, move over to the left into a straitjacket. But people who trained to be in the air, people who are trained to understand aerial phenomenon because they drive helicopters, they drive and utilize commercial planes, military planes, who have testified for decades, whistleblowed for decades. Veronica says to distract us from something else like Trump. This is their training site, like we test stuff in other regions of the globe, the tests on Earth. Halaroon says, because more and more are showing up. TT says, I heard they are fallen angels. Oh, we're going to get into all of that, honey. Heard they're fallen angels. Rumors and T says, maybe some are roaming freely undetected. I watch so much Marvel and sci-fi. I do too, boo. I do too, child. VS says, okay, I read that already. I thought I had missed somebody, honey. Don't. Auntie Yvette says, whistleblowers, baby, period. Because they know that they are coming in droves and won't be able to stop them all. Ooh, baby. So was Carisha 19 really made in a lab, or is it an alien virus? I believe Carisha 19 was definitely synthetic and man-made. Just like HIV was. I believe that was definitely conjured up in the Wuhan laboratories. That was the whole pandemic. I believe them whores definitely, honey. It's given it. We'll get into that, girl. I don't need YouTube acting stupid. But let's go ahead, girl, and pull this up. Let me put up my fair use, child, and let's listen to this, child. Let's see what the hell our government got to say about these. You know, all aliens really, y'all, is aged white people. That's all they is, girl. They just really aged white people, girl. Like when white people hit 100, girl, that's what they mighty morph into, child. That's it, girl. I already know what the T is, girl. Okay? How doing? Let me find my charger, child. How doing? How doing? How doing? All right, child. All right, let's get into it, girl. Let me share, child. Girl, spooked and nervous, bitch. We spooked and nervous, girl. The aliens have finally landed, girl. Y'all wanted them to land, girl. They done landed right onto the docket of Congress, bitch.
Anomalous phenomenon. I'd like to thank the brave military pilots and personnel, such as the witnesses on the panel today, for sharing their stories on how they have engaged UAPs, which has brought attention to this matter. Curiosity and speculation from all walks of life have generated interest in studying what UAPs are and what threats they
Okay, girl, what's the T? See, girl, it's already some alien shit going on.
Pose. I will
y'all
say
see that, girl? Y'all see that, girl? I don't watch this video on CPS 2 times now, girl. Y'all see how the screen just went out and shit, girl? Are the grays making contact? Are white people in
school? I read a book, a 1966 book called Flying Saucers, Serious Business. And for a while, when I was a little bit younger, I thought it was the most important issue out there. The lack of a transparency regarding UAPs, which was one of the themes of that book. In any event, it's led to interest in studying what UAPs are and what threats they pose. The lack of transparency regarding UAPs has fueled wild speculation and debate for decades, eroding public trust in the very institutions that are meant to serve and protect them, as is evidenced by the large number of people we have here. I also want to point out in 1966, President Gerald Ford claimed to have seen a UFO, and in 1969 in Georgia, Jimmy Carter claimed to have seen a UFO. So this has led Congress to establish entities to examine UAPs. The National Defense Authorization Act of 2022 established the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office or AARO to conduct or to coordinate efforts across the Department of Defense and other federal agencies to detect, identify, and investigate UAPs. However, AARO's budget remains classified, prohibiting meaningful oversight from Congress. In addition to AARO's efforts, NASA is leading an independent study on UAPs to identify how UAP data is gathered from both civilian and government entities that can be analyzed to shed light on the topic. However, despite these offices being established, there lies a pressing demand for government transparency and accountability that cannot be overlooked. And that's been a problem that's been around for 50 years. The Biden administration handling of the Chinese spy balloon that violated.
Now, once again, girl, all y'all who got Netflix and be chilling, Netflix and be sexting, Netflix and be getting freaky and stuff, girl. I don't know why they acting like they don't know what's tea, girl, because UFOs have literally flown over the literal White House, girl. Literally flown over the White House. Okay? Like literally, I forgot which president. It might have been is it Reagan? It's one of those presidents, girl, where he had to issue out a command, girl, to have our military come and check out several flying saucers that were meditating and vibrating over the White House, girl. And this happened on 2 separate nights consecutively. And when our fighter jets got there to the White House, girl, these flying saucers took their asses on a goddamn goose chase through the air. UFOs moving as fast as 8,000 miles an hour, making quick lefts and rights without even coming to a stop. Just shoot. Appearing and reappearing, disappearing, etc., girl. Happened 2 nights back to back over the White House. This is historically documented. So once again, it begs the question of, we've had some extraordinary historical manifestations of UFOs that have not been per se witnessed by just one person, but witnessed by multiple people. We've had UFO sightings all over military testing sites where there's nuclear testing going on. UFOs all over military bases. Observed, captured, photographed, videoed, testified to, witnessed by trained military personnel. These things are so normal to those who frequent the airways, like our pilots, etc., that they're no longer even shook when they encounter UFOs in our atmospheres, because that's how daily and how normal and how consistent their presence is. I think it was Reagan, Phyllis.
U.S. airspace is one example how the government is not prepared for these. The Biden administration's description of events has shown that the government continues not to be forthright. Between the Chinese balloon being shot down and 2 UAPs subsequently shot down following the event earlier this year, the U.S. government spent $1.5 million in taxpayer dollars on missiles, yet we have seen little clarity from the Biden administration. We must demand transparency from the Department of Defense, our intelligence community, and our defense industry on the UAP work. We're going to ask some questions about that today. Congress recognizes the subject of UAPs as multifaceted and requires a careful, data-driven approach. Today, we'll see clarity from these witnesses' testimonies, or we'll seek clarity as to what can be done to improve reporting for military and civilians and remain committed to objective inquiry. Congress should work to...
See, if y'all listening to the chat, a lot of people here done seen things. Cookie said she saw a holographic ship that spooked and nervous her, girl. Queen Black says, I saw something weird. Strange thing is we don't remember one person of the group being there, but she was. And that's another interesting anomaly. Tired. Anomaly, girl, is a lapse in memory. A lot of abductees have had to do like regression therapy in order to reclaim memories, or didn't even know they were abducted until weeks later, the next morning, or even months later, when they would have when they had a flashback, and then would go and get hypnosis done, honey, And come to find out, girl, them folk had them been snatched up. They had to been raptured up, girl. Okay? By white Jesus, child. Mm-hmm. Some women have even claimed to have been impregnated by extraterrestrial entities and then had their pregnancies terminated or aborted or had the fetus retrieved from them in their like second trimester, in their second, third trimester of the pregnancy. When they would go to the doctor about the pregnancy, come to find out like the doctors could see that the woman was pregnant. All her testing came back that she was pregnant, but there was no baby. Even though the body is experiencing on a physiological level all of the symptoms of pregnancy. And so doctors would deem those pregnancies as phantom pregnancies, which is when, for whatever reason, the mind comes under such strong belief that it's pregnant that it starts to emulate the process of pregnancy. But this wasn't that. Doctors just had to provide a scientific, so-called logical explanation, which sometimes sounds more foolish than giving it the explanation that it fucking deserves. Because when have any of y'all ever imagined, bitch, as hungry as I done imagined I was that time, girl, why a plate of mac and cheese didn't manifest in front of me? Why would somebody be so damn convicted and possess such a strong desire to be pregnant to the extent, y'all, all these women out here who got fertility issues, who really imagining and desire to be pregnant, still can't even convince themselves to simulate a damn pregnancy, girl. But all of a sudden, medical doctors, because they can't give it they can't give it a supernatural explanation. They can't give it a non-rational explanation, girl. They have to provide something to explain the phenomenon, despite the fact that a lot of these abductee victims, they got the pregnancy to prove it. They oftentimes have the strange marks to prove it. They've had small incisions on the back of their neck, small markings on their bodies, which for them was consistent with what they remembered from the examination and the surgeries that they experienced while on board these ships. Some abductee victims have had more than one encounter of the third with these beings. As a matter of fact, the females who confess and testify to getting pregnant by these beings oftentimes have multiple abduction experience, because these entities come back to pretty much do checkups and to run tests and to make observations, to check in on what the fuck going on, make sure that Brenda ain't ran her ass down there to the Planned Parenthood and terminated that damn reptilian baby. Okay? The grandson came back, baby, to check on LaQuisha, girl. Make sure she ain't ran down there to one of them goddamn abortion affirming states, girl, and terminated Miss Gray Alien child. Okay? Multiple abductions. It's a mess. We're going to get into a lot of it. Now, mind you, this is consistent with biblical narratives around the Nephilim. Okay? And the Watchers, which the children called Nephilims were the children of fallen angels called the Watchers, who the scriptures claim descended down and chose wives for themselves and procreated with human females. And these human females gave birth to the Goliaths of the planet, called Nephilim, who were a hybrid of human and angelic property. Both angelic and human identity, child. And these giants were known as the renowned, men who encountered them, tribes who encountered them, would use ratios like humans appearing to be the size of grasshoppers, comparatively speaking, to these giants who roamed the earth. The Nephilim were known to possess magical and psychic talents, but they were also cannibalistic, bitch, and would eat your ass alive. Very violent, had an insatiable appetite. They damn near ate up all the natural resources. And they were also gene splicing, which is where we get a lot of our mythologies around centaurs, half men, half horse, mermaids, half human, half aquatic, etc., girl. And allegedly, some say that the Nephilim are responsible for these hybrid creatures that still exist to this day. But this concept of aliens mating or some type of otherworldly, extraterrestrial mating between humans and something else is that old. That concept goes way back to ancient man. Let's continue to listen, child.
That knowledge is not driven by fear. Today, we are not just debating the existence of UAPs, we are deliberating on the principles that define our republic, which is a commitment to transparency and accountability. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today about ways we can improve government efficiency and openness when it comes to UAPs. I thank each of you for your presence here today and for your dedication to safeguarding the interests of the American people. I look forward to your testimony. Now I'm going to turn it over for 2.5 or 3 minutes to Representative Burchett from Tennessee.
Leave limitations at the door.
CBS got to pay the bills, child.
And step into your studio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody for making this happen today. And I want to remind everybody this is a nonpartisan issue. This has nothing to do with party politics. I think the cover-up goes a lot deeper than that. I also want to thank my colleagues, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, sitting beside me.
So Congress calling it a cover-up, girl. Even they in the dark, allegedly, girl. I got my own hypothesis about that. We're gonna get into that, throughout the situation.
Jared Moskowitz, my friend across the aisle, has an incredible mind, and I'm anxious to hear his questions. My buddy Eric Burleson, and it's not in my notes here, but Matt Gaetz. If it hadn't been for Matt Gaetz, myself, him, and Luna would still be down at Eglin Air Force Base trying to get some answers. He's got an incredible legal mind. Also, I know I saw it in the crowd there, George Knapp, my buddy Jeremy Corbell. They're not witnesses, but they've provided some statements on this subject, and I seek unanimous consent to enter those statements into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
Also, would like to enter in, I understand now that this is unclassified and it's public record, but as we all know, that's sometimes difficult for the public to get a hold of. A report, Defense Intelligence reference documents, advanced space propulsion based on vacuum, space-time metric engineering, some light reading for some of our members.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp wrote, since 1969, the position of our military has been that UFOs pose no threat to national security and are not worthy of further study. I'd say that's the biggest understatement of the decade. He also goes on to talk about the dismissive attitude. It's at odds with what was revealed in documents, reports, and internal memos. Mr. Cabell says, as he writes these words, the UFO is emerging as a major topic of global importance. I can state that as a fact. Out there, I met a fellow who came in here all the way from Denmark to be here for this meeting. So this is huge. This is worldwide. I think we suspect what's going on. But I'd also like to thank the members of Congress who have supported our efforts to make this hearing happen. Some of you confided to me that they've had UFO sightings of their own.
They've been
Those
here.
members, of course, some of them wish to remain anonymous.
Thank you, Ladaya. Hey, boo.
But also, finally, I'd like to thank these three brave witnesses here.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mistress.
They took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and dadgummit, they're doing it. And we owe them a debt of gratitude.
Well, the whole argument over Jesus being an alien, hell. A spirit impregnated a teenage girl who gave birth to the Holy Spirit in human form. Jesus' whole birth was unusual and unique because of the way he got here. He got here through the manifestation of an encounter between Mary, who was a teenage girl at the time, and the Holy Spirit, who impregnated her. It's pretty fucking alien. Also, what's interesting about the whole Jesus was an alien, etc. You know, we could play off words. It's all type of ways to view the Jesus narrative, the Christ narrative, the Yeshua narrative. Is that when Yeshua was on the cross and he was crying out to God, there was a time in which God completely abandoned Christ, and this was witnessed as a cloud that moved away from Christ. Cloud that moved away from Christ. And what a lot of people have speculated is that that cloud formation that was above Jesus at the time of his crucifixion was actually cloaking a UFO, was cloaking a spaceship. Now, that's what a lot of UFOologists like to imagine story as and meaning. That's their interpretation of some of the things that went on with Christ during his ministry, except him also coming from above. Taru said anything is possible. Jesus was so different. Humans' natural instinct is to fear the unknown, and to try and eradicate it. Absolutely. Rashonda said this is crazy. They actually have to have a hearing about aliens and UFOs. When we are going through real issues? And baby, they giving us something else on the plate, baby. Okay.
Y'all quit clapping. You're cutting in on my time. Just kidding. These folks, they've got nothing to gain from this. And I think you're going to find out that they've endured quite a few slings and arrows. We need to remember them in our prayers and their families. I'm thankful for them for their honest testimonies. They have done interviews and appeared in documentaries like Accidental Truth to get their stories out there. Into the hearing. Sorry to disappoint about half y'all. We're just going to get to the facts. We're going to uncover the cover up. And I hope this is just the beginning of many more hearings and more people coming forward about this. And I yield back the remainder of my time.
It's funny that somebody said that there's no black people here. Do you know what's so funny? Alien abduction largely impacts more white people than it does black people, girl. There's been very few public testimony from Black Americans and African Americans as it relates to not alien sightings. We definitely make up demographic in that, but when it comes to alien abduction, so maybe the aliens are our futuristic black asses coming back into the past, girl, returning the hands of time, baby, to experiment on white people to see how in the hell they got here, girl, so we can stop their ass from ever becoming again, girl. Okay, maybe it's our futuristic asses, baby. Okay, maybe we finally destroyed all the social constructs in the future, girl, and we come back as these slim, big-headed, big-eyeballed ass creatures that ain't got no ass and no shoulders because we no longer worship those things, child. Okay, maybe this is our transfigured body, baby. Okay, but maybe, girl, the graves are just black folk, futuristic black folk coming back to figure out how in the hell we can prevent white people from manifesting in the multiverse into where, baby. Okay? Because it is quite ironic that alien abduction has not been experienced by too many black folk, baby. At least not Black American shy. Okay? Now, I'm going to say black folk, period. Because, I grew up studying this stuff, following UFOology. I was an alien and UFO enthusiast since I've been a little kid. And yeah, there ain't too many stories, girl. It's only a handful of stories from black folk, from the black community, girl, regarding alien abduction. Them white folk get snatched up. CTV like Interstellar and the Tesseract. They say that art imitates life. That's what they say, child. Hey, Auntie Deb, who says, how about pale folk coming down with leprosy in Central Florida? Girl, wow, I haven't even heard about that. It's so much going on. Don't tell me even ET is a racist, honey. More so preventionist, okay? trying to prevent certain shit from coming in, girl, because some humans are a kind of humankind. Okay, almost like a how some food is a animal byproduct, like your eggs and your cheese, girl. Okay, white folk might be a kind of human, girl. We're trying to eradicate the kind.
To Representative Luna, Mr. Chairman, is that?
Yeah, we'll call Ms. Luna for her statement.
The circumstances surrounding UAPs has captivated the attention of the American people for decades, ingrained in even the minds of our nation's leaders from Jimmy Carter to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton to Donald Trump, Marco Rubio to Chuck Schumer, John Radcliffe to National Security Council officials. Yet from Roswell, New Mexico to the coast of Jacksonville, Florida, the sightings of UAPs have rarely been explained by the people who have firsthand accounts of these situations. This is largely due to the lack of transparency by our own government and the failure of our elected leaders to make good on their promises to release explanations and footage and mountains of overclassified documents that continue to be hidden from the American people. This isn't just how I feel. In fact, the American people largely believe that the government has actively covered up the truth about UAPs. One poll in particular found that 68% of Americans believe that the government is hiding information about UAPs and not being honest about what we know about them. And from my personal experience, I believe the same thing. Another poll found that nearly half
she's not reading fast. I got to sped up a little bit for the sake of time.
Believe that the federal government is doing a very bad or somewhat bad job of dealing with reports of UFO sightings. As Representative Burchett just referenced on the FAA bill that just went through, you can tell that that's exactly happening. Considering the thousands of testimonies and videos taken on people's phones and eyewitnesses accounts made by credible witnesses such as doctors, pilots, scientists, and active duty service members, it is unacceptable to continue to gaslight Americans into thinking that this is not happening or that the potential of intelligent life forms exists other than humans. Even more alarming is the fact that these eyewitnesses are many times service members and have no assurance that their lives will not be negatively impacted or even harmed by their experiences. In being an active duty service member working on an air.
Okay, so now she's talking about, like how a lot of professional folk who have had these direct encounters, girl, have closed their damn mouths because pretty much you could almost ruin your damn career. Okay, if you claim that you saw a UFO or encounter an alien, etc. These were things that literally could cost you your career because it would make people question your competence and your cognitive ability, girl, and your sanity, okay? Because of a lack of disclosure from the proper authorities around this subject, it created a narrative about people who made these type of observations. So, yeah, you couldn't go around working in military, working in government, claiming that you just experienced a UFO, even if you did. Because, yeah, this was a fringe movement that was shrouded in a lot of mystery. It was not taken seriously. This was something for a long time that was hard for folk to believe. And the thing about the government is people think that the government is one single entity. It's not. It's broken off into a lot of various subdivisions. And on top of that, the government that we see, the government we vote into office, the politicians and presidents and all of those folk, the mayors and governors, all those folk, girl, that we see on the surface, girl, they're not the real government. The shadow government is the real government. These are just the actors in the stage play. They get their orders trickle down from a higher command. So all these folk that we see, girl, a lot of times they do be as dumb and as without knowledge as they appear to be. Because information of this magnitude is protected at the highest level of military and government. This is not the type of information that gets on the desk of the president unless it is with exception. This is not something that you were debriefed about or an area in your military or governmental career that you necessarily get access to just because you are part of the government and military. So what we see on the surface, girl, these folk are the actors. These are the puppets that we see on the front. The puppeteers are the folk we never see. The puppeteers and the masters, the puppet masters themselves, are the folk who are at a distance and sometimes never known and never observed, who control the way information is really disseminated. And this is why you can have government and military at odds with each other, because you only have individual people within the military and government who actually are afforded to get this close to what's called super classified information. Stuff that have to do with UFOs, the nature of reality, psychic phenomenon. All of our tax-paying dollars pay for these type of programs. All our tax-paying dollars go into psychic programs, go into remote viewing programs, fund psychic spies. These are things that our government experiment and dabble in. Your government are nothing more than suit-wearing occultists and spiritualists. That's all they are. Suit-wearing. They don't got on the witch's hat. They don't got on the sorcerer's robe or cape. Today's contemporary sorcerers and occultists and spiritualists got on suits and ties and look just like you and I. Let's continue to listen. Oh, and I was going to say, she mentioned UFO phenomena and things and all of that being captured on phones. I believe that that's why they're having this conversation. They're having this conversation, as I said before, because we live in a day and age where everybody now has what? A recording device in the form of a cell phone. Where the government fucked up at was giving us this advanced technology called a camera and video recording device that's also connected to the World Wide Web. Once upon a time, like in the early 2000s and 90s and 80s and 60s and 70s, baby, people wasn't walking around with a camera in their hand. That wasn't society. This wasn't a trend. This wasn't where we were. So you had to take people's word for something that was already hard to believe that they told you that they witnessed, which made it very easy to disregard people's observations. Somebody ran up to you and say, hey, last night, me and Betty were on our way home from my mother-in-law's, and we saw a goddamn flying saucer right there on I-49. But guess what? Billy ass didn't have no fucking proof. All he had was his very colorful testimony backed up by not a single fucking piece of evidence. And because this wasn't a conversation and these things were not being acknowledged, UFOs and UFO encounters and alien encounters were not being acknowledged by our governmental system, which used to be the only thing we believe is when it came from the top. If it didn't come from the top, then it practically wasn't real. So you had to take people's word for something that, once again, was impossible for them to believe in to begin with. And it was easy to disregard people's observations as mere misinformation or mistakes. Probably saw a weather balloon, probably saw a man-made plane, probably were high, Billy. Stay off the cannabis, Billy. Barbara needs you around for a long time. That cannabis is bad for your mind. And if people couldn't believe that there were technological, non-human aerial objects in the atmosphere, they damn sure couldn't believe what you were about to tell them as it relates to who flew that goddamn non-human aerial technological. Objects in the sky. But now what can they do? Now that we all got this, baby. Y'all see this? Y'all see the pop socket? This is Apple, baby. The all-seeing eye. We've been awakened. Consciousness has taken a leap forward. So now the government can't afford to lie because that's only going to discredit a lying-ass governmental system who can't afford to lose any more credit, especially with everything going on around voting fraud, election fraud. You got Trump leaking classified information to journalists and authors and his damn homegirls and shit while they eat crumpets and drink sweet tea, girl, and just chop it up over classified information, girl. That could be a threat to national security, girl. At a time where there's impeachment, we've went through a pandemic, girl. A lying-ass governmental system can't afford to take another L, or they know that it's done. So now they're forced to have a type of conversation about something that can't be denied. Now that they done put phones that can record shit in slow motion, fast motion, medium damn motion, capture your ass in 5K, 4K, 6K, baby. You can pull up on a bitch's damn pores with these damn phones. This not only is going to provide the proof, but this here is going to make the frequency increase of those reports and sightings. And then what you record with this goes into the World Wide Web immediately. And that's why the government is having conversations around trying to censor the internet, because they can't control the information highways. Those digital highways, they can't control them yet. Some countries have seriously regulated and censored internet access. Our American government got really carried away and they didn't think this shit through first. And now they done fucked up all the church's money and are going to have to work backwards. When they gave us the internet, gave us these recording devices, girl, their plan was for them to have more avenues to brainwash us with. And the more that people had access all night and day to this iCloud of information that the government had an intention to control for its own nefarious purposes, they didn't cover all their ground. They forgot what they were also opening themselves up to, but that's how the universe works, baby. Because when you play dirty, you can never win. In the worst of any leaks, baby. They only thought one way, but created a double-edged sword, because now this very same thing they gave to us for their own agenda is now going to be used to expose the fucking agenda. So now they got to come to us and finally address the big elephant that's been in the room for the past 70 decades. Because now they can't run and then can't hide. But this also doesn't mean they're having the most genuine, sincere disclosure that can be had. Because the government never tells all of the truth and the complete truth. And when it comes to the government, there's always multiple agendas at work. So you have to be discerning and observant and power through everything exhibit by exhibit. You have to listen to language. Language is important. That's where Freemasons really be giving they bullshit away at, is language. Very selective. Even the rebranding of UFOs to UAPs is fascinating to me. Even trying to steer away from the word alien to non-human biologics. Oh, okay. But we'll get into it. Let's listen to this kind of disclosure.
I've had conversations with many pilots where they were in fear of coming forward for retribution and or being taken off flight status. How do we know this? Because the government has said nothing to assure us otherwise. They have also did nothing to calm the concerns of over 20% of Americans who have reported to have seen UFOs or UAPs. We are simply told not to question the government and that the government has it under control. Today is the first hearing of its kind where we will attempt to get down to the bottom of what is actually happening with UAPs. But we will hear from people who have had personal sightings rather than Pentagon bureaucrats who have always been sent to stonewall our investigations. Just so that the press knows and the people know, we were even denied access to a classified briefing in a skiff prior to this hearing.
Yeah, somebody, girl, we ain't gonna ever make it through this video, girl, because this is so much that y'all are inspiring me to say. Somebody just mentioned Apple phones. Somebody said, I don't trust Apple. Tanae said, I don't trust Apple phones with the bite of the apple. Oh, yeah. I mean, but see, they put it in plain sight. That's one of the rules. That's the number one rule of occultism, is that all truth has to be in plain sight. But the way they get around that rule of thumb is by not explaining what's in plain sight. They have to put the truth in plain sight, but they don't have to explain to you what you're looking at, what you are experiencing, what you are hearing. But it does have to be put in plain sight. And what's funny about somebody bringing up Apple is, you guys know a lot of us at this point have been experiencing some very interesting synchronicities when it comes to these so-called smartphones, as in you've experienced talking about a thing and then it popping up on your phone. You might have just been talking about sundresses. Now you on Instagram and there's a random Instagram page advertising sundresses. Or you was just talking about spaghetti for dinner, and then you get on Facebook and a spaghetti dish is being advertised to you. A lot of people are experiencing this synchronicity. And let me tell you what's crazy about this, because I did not want to fuck with Apple, but it's not just Apple. It's actually all of this technology. Apple was just the head bitch in charge in the PSYOP program against humanity that's going on. But it's all technology. But I didn't want to fuck with Apple because they made it so obvious that they were a PSYOP program. But do you know that a few days ago, I had my iPhone, this very phone right here. I was on my leather couch, chilling. This is where my entertainment room is. And I had set the phone to the side. And I was on my actual service phone, because I don't use my iPhone yet as a service phone. I use it to record, go live with, take pictures with, all that kind of shit. It's supposed to be a phone I'm supposed to be using as my main phone, but I haven't yet, because I just something in my spirit is just struggles. And I use MacBooks, I use all that. It's something about these phones. I don't know what it is. But do you guys know? I looked over at my iPhone. Siri was listening to me. And when I went to look at the phone and pick it up, and I noticed the little, hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. How you pull Siri up on this phone? I don't even know how to even pull it up. I don't even know how you activate Siri. But that little symbol that comes up when Siri is talking, the bitch was listening to me. She was active. Alexa, whatever the fuck her name is, Becky, she was listening to me. I was on the phone, just carrying away, and I just happened to look over to the right. Girl, Miss AI was getting her nosy on, girl. I caught Miss AI listening through the door. And it freaked me out. Now, I was not surprised, because there's been conversations around there being spyware and all type of things in these in these phones, in these devices, etc. Tracking devices, spyware, etc. So I wasn't surprised. But when you have only heard of something and you might even believe it, it's different when you experience it. when you motherfucking experience the shit. So I heard that there are settings within your phone that you can go into to turn this software off. But apparently, like, you have to go in and deprogram it that way, or else your phone that you thinking is just a little device that you be texting your wife on and talking to your grandma on, baby, is a whole goddamn piece of AI that's studying your personality, studying and listening and observing everything you fucking say. Girl, they even say, girl, they can watch us through this shit, which is why they put also a camera on every phone now. This stuff wasn't given to us for the sake of fun and exclusively communication. Everything the government permits always is with the ulterior motive. Always. Always. An ulterior motive. Spyware. It's all out there.
The amount of hoops that we had to jump through to grant temporary clearance to witness Grush, who has knowledge of classified information. It is time to have an open-minded discussion on this topic, to hear the evidence and understand the magnitude of what this means, not just for our nation, but for humanity. Thank you, Chairman. I yield back the rest of my time.
This was my skin in 2022,
bills,
and this is my
baby.
skin going into 2023. My rosacea was constantly flaring up, and my...
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank you and Mr. Burchett for bringing this topic to my attention. Now we'll recognize National Security Subcommittee Ranking Member Garcia for 10 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank first our witnesses for joining us today. I want to begin by thanking you all for your service to our country and for sharing your voices today and your courage to be here as well. To Mr. Graves, particularly grateful to you to spend some time that we had for you to share with candor some of your experiences. So I appreciate that as well. I do want to thank all the members of our subcommittee today and also those that are here and have waved on for their incredible interest in this issue, particularly to Congressman Burchett. I know that your leadership has brought us to this place today, and I want to thank you for that, as well as everyone else that's been engaged in this work. I also want to thank the oversight staff, who I know has been working very hard to ensure that today's hearing is serious, that it's transparent, and that it also provides appropriate answers, as our oversight body always demands. Now, it's really important that we're here in a bipartisan way to have this conversation, which really, to the heart of it, is about national security and key to the subcommittee's core purpose. This is the subcommittee on national security of the Oversight Committee. Now, our witnesses will testify today that UAPs have posed a serious safety threat, and we must understand this. More broadly, we're dealing with real questions that get to the heart.
So they're claiming that UFOs all of a sudden now pose a national threat, something that's been around literally since the beginning of time, if you let ancient alien theorists tell it, girl. Okay? Something that's definitely been observed by modern people as well for decades. Aliens who still won't literally land on the White House lawn. They'll land on the rooftop, bitch. Okay? A phenomenon that's still cloaked in a lot of mystery, observed by the selected. It's all of a sudden now a national threat. Once again, even though military personnel have literally casually observed UFO phenomenon above military sites, nuclear test facilities. There is even a historical instance in which a UFO actually lasered a nuclear warhead out of the sky. Lasered it. A pink beam. Shot it right out of the sky. It said, bitch. You ain't the only one who live here. Y'all can down there and put dookie and shit in Flint's water, girl, but what you're not going to do is fuck up the upper atmosphere, girl, where we travel to and fro to get our groceries, girl, and to drop our aliens' babies off at the daycares and shit, baby. What you're not going to do, girl. Y'all want to fuck up all the shit y'all live on top of, that's fine, bitch. What you're not going to do is destroy where the hell we got to commune at, baby. shot a nuclear warhead out of the sky. But all of a sudden now, they are a national threat. They are a threat to security. Girl, our actual military is more of a damn threat to national security than UFOs and UAPs are, girl. China is more of a damn threat to national security than UFOs ever have been. But the aliens said that this would happen, girl. We'll get into that.
Of our faith in government. Faith in our institutions, as we all know, is at an all-time low. Partisanship and alternative facts make it too easy to doubt narrative or our institutions. But this hearing will offer the public unique perspectives, building on years of reporting by both federal agencies and the independent media. Now, some of the earliest reporting on this issue was a groundbreaking 2017 New York Times report, which revealed research, as we know now, on unidentified anomalous phenomena, as many call UFOs, by the Defense Intelligence Agency. Mr. Graves and Commander Favor's experiences with UAPs have also been documented by the public, not just by the New York Times, but CNN and many other national news outlets. Now, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence has published public reports documenting UAPs, and on June 9th, 2022, NASA announced that the agency is commissioning a study to, of course, examine unidentified anomalous phenomena. Now, the sheer number of reports, whistleblowers, and stories of unidentified anomalous phenomena should raise real questions and warrant investigation and oversight. And that's why we are here today. Now, pilots have reported encounters for years. Now, because of the stigma around reporting these incidents, we still don't have a complete picture of actually what's going on, particularly as our witnesses will testify on the civilian side. And that is a real problem that we have today in the country. Now, it's very important that we show that Democrats and Republicans in Congress can come together in a bipartisan way to cut through misinformation and to look at the facts in a serious and thoughtful manner. If we are to advance oversight and public disclosure, we must also gain the broad support of the public. We will succeed getting facts out to the public faster if there is a broad public support as part of the process. I understand fully that the Department of Defense is hesitant to share information that could also undermine our national security by revealing information on the capabilities of our own aircraft, our sensors, and other sensitive material. At the same time, many people believe that we're withholding information from them, and that is dangerous also. I believe in openness and transparency. That is also the role of Congress. And I want to trust that the American people will be able to weigh the evidence and make up their own minds. Now, we have incidents where sensors, sometimes even multiple types of sensors, detect things that we cannot explain. UAPs, whatever they may be, may pose a serious threat to our military or civilian aircraft, and that must be understood. Now, my career and training as a longtime and career educator and teacher and researcher tell me that we should never rule anything out. We know that our space, of course, is vast and undiscovered. I also want to note that Mr. Sean Kirkpatrick, director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the component of the DoD office that investigates UAP data, has testified before the Senate this year that his unit has found no evidence of extraterrestrial activity. NASA has also stated they don't have evidence of extraterrestrial life either, and we've heard this, of course, from some of our government agencies. And we should remind viewers and witnesses, which I think is really important, that we also cannot share classified information in public settings. But questions, of course, remain that people want to see data and information for themselves. The enormous interest in the hearing today underscores the importance of a fair and open look at the evidence from witnesses who can share their unique perspectives. Now, I know I certainly have a lot of questions, and I know that all the members of our committee do as well. We should come to this hearing with an open mind, and we should not let our existing ideas restrict us on either side. I hear over and over from many agencies the stigma around reporting and investigating UAPs prevents us from getting real answers. We know that whistleblowers have reported harassment, intimidation, or stigma as well, and this is not acceptable. If people can't report incidents which would have national security or safety implications, then that also has serious consequences for us. As a ranking member of this subcommittee, I know my job would be completely impossible if whistleblowers or others feel intimidated to come before this committee. We can't be afraid of asking questions, and we can't be afraid of the truth. I'm proud to say that this hearing builds upon bipartisan work by members of the House and Senate dating many years back, which is sought to increase awareness within the Department of Defense and to mandate more of Congress of UAPs. We know the Senate is taking up an amendment to their defense authorization bill, which will create a commission with broad declassification authority.
And we don't know about those alleged Chinese balloons, Savvy, because I thought that incident was mighty odd. How allegedly, girl, if you let them tell it, girl, we shot first, okay, and then tried to investigate, but really couldn't conclude because what was shot down was splattered and destroyed and disintegrated and blown into smithereens down below. Well, it would seem to me that if you were motherfucking interested in investigating, that you wouldn't have actually had struck first, right? But I'm gonna leave that there.
all agree that that is an important step. Members of both parties and senior officials in multiple administrations have taken an interest in this issue, and we're proud to carry and build that confidence in the American people. This hearing will also not be the end of this discussion, but a new chapter and start to years and years of work that many folks, both in the public and within government, have been working on. We should encourage more reporting,
like
not less.
Exactly what the fuck were you expecting to investigate if you shot first, bitch? The devastation is all you could investigate after the fact. Nothing is all you could investigate after the fact. How you gonna blow something up first and then go and investigate? Make it make sense.
The more we understand, the safer we will be. We will hear testimony from witnesses today with a long record of service to the American people and with subject matter expertise. Our witnesses have a unique opportunity to share their perspective, insights, and their experiences with the American people. And I encourage all of my colleagues to engage with these difficult questions with an open mind and to follow the facts on behalf of our country. I also just want to say more broadly that we should look at this hearing and believe that everything is on the table as it relates to UAPs. I think an open mind is absolutely the best. I want to yield the 2.5 minutes, the remainder of my time, to the representative from Florida, Representative Moskowitz, for an opening statement. He also has been very much engaged in this issue, and I want to thank him for his leadership. Congressman.
Thank you, Ranking Member Garcia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Tim Burchett and Anna Paulina Luna for their leadership in pushing this hearing forward. I want to thank obviously committee staff and their staff working on this on a bipartisan basis.
Hey, Mary.
Because many Americans are deeply interested in this issue, and it shouldn't take the potential of non-human origin to bring us together.
It is. It's amazing.
Additionally, I want to thank the witnesses for coming forward to share your perspectives, your thoughts, and the sightings.
I told y'all shit was going to get real weird. And we only scratching the surface, baby. It's going to get, baby, they collecting all the Infinity Stones, and wait until you see each reality from each Infinity Stone, baby. Like baby, this is only the soft introduction. This is a soft takeoff into what the fuck world. So y'all better get ready, baby. Y'all better get ready, sugar. Okay, this is only a soft, this is only a soft takeoff onto what the fuck boulevard. Okay, we about to be living in a what the fuck era. It's about to get wild, it's about to get spooky, it's about to get extraterrestrial, baby. It's about to get technological, girl. It's about to get transhumanistic, girl. It's about to get robotic. It's about to get artificial. It's about to get all the things, girl. It's going to be a lot all at once at that. This is why the prophecies involve people losing their mind in the end of days. People are not going to be able to handle some of the realities that are about to be unearthed in this era, baby. While we fighting over toilet stools and the term cisgender, baby. Sasquatch and Bigfoot, baby. Yes. All that shit that we grew up watching in The Fifth Element and shit, girl. And Demolition Man, girl. It's about to be a lot going on all at once. All at once. So y'all better prepare your minds now, baby, to go boldly where it has never gone before, baby. This is shit that grandma and grandpa and great-great-grandma and grandpa couldn't prepare you for. It's going to be you. There's going to be shit that we're going to witness, shit we're going to live through that's going to be truly unique to the generations. Completely unique. The scriptures also declare that there will be certain mysteries of the multiverse that will become unlocked and known in certain interims in human history. Total Recall too. That there's going to be certain mysteries that are going to be unveiled and that are going to be manifested in various ages. What's going on, Perry? Thank you. There's going to be things that only we got an opportunity to bear witness to, just like those who actually lived during the time of Christ. A unique era where you got to see and experience something that everybody else now had to read about. We about to live through shit and see shit and experience shit on a level that never has been. And there have been certain things that have been withheld and that are only going to become manifested at a particular and specific time in human history. Things going to happen in our generation, things are going to happen in our children's generation that are going to be unique to the times.
Unlike other hearings many times in Congress, you're not here to help a political party, but you're here to share information with the American people. And it's not something that is just going on in this administration. It's something that's spanned many administrations. For decades, many Americans have been fascinated by objects mysterious and unexplained, and it's long past time that they got some answers. The American public has a right to learn about technologies of unknown origins, non-human intelligence, and unexplainable phenomena. Those are not the words of a UFO Twitter account. Though
I gotta go get my package, y'all. It's outside. I'm gonna let this play and then I'm gonna come back. So I'm still with y'all. I'll be right back.
Direct quote from Majority Leader: the right to learn about technologies of unknown origins, non-human intelligence, and unexplainable phenomena. In an interview with Fox News, recent former Director of National Intelligence John Radcliffe confirmed the U.S. government is aware a lot more sightings of UAPs and that they have not made that information public. I quote, "There are a lot more sightings that have not been made public," Radcliffe said to Fox News. For me, this hearing is about transparency. We unfortunately live in a time in which many people distrust government and our institutions, and overclassification of information away from the American public or even Congress contributes to today's politics. The American people have regular questions. What are UAPs? How come the media doesn't report more on them? Are they foreign adversaries? Are they U.S. technology? Are they something else? They ask themselves, how come when a Russian jet shoots flares at one of our drones, we have perfect pictures and videos to show the American people and the world? But when it comes to UAPs, nothing. Of course, we must always protect our national security to maintain our superiority, like when stealth helicopters were only rumored to exist, but were used in the Osama bin Laden raid in 2000.
Taru said, CTV, you think there's any truth to civilization being on Mars or Venus? Was wondering since those planets and Earth are suspiciously similar. Man, I have a lot of different thoughts. I'm going to be quite honest. I don't even think that the alien presence, the so-called alien presence on the Earth is intergalactic. I think that it's interdimensional. And I think that these entities come from various dimensions within these celestial bodies. Mars, Venus, Pluto, Uranus, etc. But I also think that there is a large portion of our oceans that are obviously been undiscovered. I think that there are caverns in the earth. I think that there are underground civilizations. I believe there is a black sun underneath the earth. These things have been testified to by explorers. It's interesting how even if you, because once again, you guys, I've been listening to this type of stuff my whole life. I've been following the trail of abductees and UFO phenomena since I've been yay high. This has been an area of interest for me. And what's interesting about alien abductees is very rarely do any of them speak about being taken to another planetary system. Ironically, most of the abductees speak about being taken back into the earth, being taken deep in the earth through volcanoes, through oceans, inside of lakes, taken into caverns, that UFOs descended, and those who have witnessed a lot of UFO phenomenon. Of course, we see UFOs going up, shooting up, but they've also been equally observed coming out of the oceans, going back into the oceans, ascending and descending into the Earth's center. I think there is a lot of assumptions that have to not be made, because I think this whole thing around so-called extraterrestrial, non-human intelligence and consciousness on the planet is larger than we can ever imagine. I think most of these entities are interdimensional beings, and I think this technology is also interdimensional as well. And there is a particular whistleblower by the name of David. Let me see if I can find this man's name. Hold on real quick. Alien disclosure. You guys might have heard him. It's David something. I think his last name ends with a G. David something. Hold on. David. Somebody might know who I'm talking about in the chat. David. I know somebody knows. Somebody always know it. Not David Wilcox. I think it's David Greer. David something. Hold on. I'm trying to see it. Not David Icke. Is it Stephen Greer? It might be Stephen. It might be Stephen Greer. That might be. Let me type that in. Stephen Greer. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Stephen Greer. So Stephen Greer, you know, he's very well known in the UFOologist community. He's worked within military. He's a scientist, etc. And this is literally his field. He has done a lot of whistleblowing and a lot of disclosures and brought forward a lot of military personnel, government personnel, etc., who have also had firsthand experiences and firsthand knowledge about the UFO thing. And I watched recently one of his disclosures, and it was really huge. He had a lot of press that were there. It had a lot of retired military pilots, had a lot of ex-military and government officials and personnel who were testifying to, and this is him on the screen here, who were testifying to what has happened. So the last disclosure I was listening to, he was saying that a lot of the UFOs now that people are currently seeing, that we're currently seeing in our night sky, are actually man-made, because this technology has been reverse engineered, and our own secret shadow military are testing this technology in the sky. So what a lot of Americans are reporting, and maybe a lot of people around the world are reporting, are imitations. It's their own military who has reverse engineered these ships, recreated them, repurposed them, etc. And he also said that our military, and there's been other military personnel who have allegedly been able to corroborate this, who came forward, who was saying that a lot of the abduction encounters have also been done and staged by our military. That not only have they reverse engineered this technology and they're flying it and testing it and using it, but that our own shadow military is also abducting human beings, abducting them, experimenting on them for various reasons, etc. Whole like laboratories and shit were explained. So when Clone Tyrone came out, I thought it was interesting because it spoke to a certain reality that's taking place now. Where I have a lot of respect for Stephen Greer, because he's very fact-based. He has once again been able to corroborate a lot of his narrative and his truth by very credible people within government, very credible people within military who have been courageous enough to come forward and to testify to their encounters and their participation in what in part is PSYOP alien programs within the government. But what I disagree with him at is, and I just recently started following Dr. Greer. So I haven't listened to all of his work, his entire body of work, but he seems to feel that a lot of the alien abduction phenomenon is largely man-made. That is our own military who are performing these experiments and these abductions. I don't believe that for a few reasons. Dr. Greer would say that this phenomenon of UFOs and alien abductions go back as far as the 1930s. We already know through history, through our ancestors writing on cave walls, our ancestors leaving history behind as hieroglyphics in and on pyramids, through oral tradition, through mythologies, etc., that this phenomenon on this earth is as old as man. Everything from the Anunnaki and its narrative, which is closely related to the Adam and Eve Genesis story, except it tells a slightly different tale. And its Genesis story is older than the Bible itself. There's other elements in the abduction cases that make me believe that this also is an otherworldly phenomenon. For one, a lot of the abductees report the smell of sulfur when they come into contact with these entities, and definitely when they come on board these spacecrafts. I don't think our military is that detailed. And I don't think there's necessarily a human reason for why there would be a particular smell, which is sulfur, being implemented in these man-made abduction experiences, especially when sulfur, ironically, is connected to the demonic. It's very closely associated with the jinn. The smell of sulfur is very closely associated with hell or lower planes of consciousness, astral projectors who have projected into lower astral planes, what we would call hell, have almost consistently experienced the smell of sulfur. Sulfur, in very rare occasions, can be associated with a good spiritual phenomenon, but generally and collectively, sulfur has a demonic connotation to it in its manifestation, and even in ritualistic magic. When sulfur is employed, is typically not to do what is considered good. As a practitioner, I know. But also there's something that really breaks the bow for me as it relates to these alien abductions not being man-made. It's when abductees, a lot of abductees have been able to abort their alien abduction experience through prayer in the name of Jesus. We know the name of Jesus ain't never stopped a goddamn police officer from being on your neck. We know the name of Jesus ain't never stopped it ain't never spent the clock up at work, girl, okay? But the fact that a lot of these alien abduction, a lot of these abductees were able to abort their experience by using the name of Christ, calling upon the sacred name of God, is very fascinating to me. Very fascinating to me. That tells me that this is also more of a interdimensional, metaphysical phenomenon. as well. Yeah. The name of God ain't never stop your doctors from performing surgery on your ass. Okay. So I think maybe some man-made shit is up in there somewhere, but definitely there is there's large room for what people have experienced as abductees to have been organic and genuine abduction experience. And once again, being abducted by some foreign presence is not a new concept. Reading the book of Enoch, reading the scriptures, you would know that prophets were taken away in whirlwinds. Ezekiel experienced a will within a will within a will. Prophets were taken up by non-human species, shown the multiverse, taught about the multiverse, returned back to Earth, etc. These are not new concepts, and they're older than man themselves. But back to listening, child. Let's continue.
11. But we can't allow that to be used as a shield to keep the American people completely in the dark from basic truths. The American people deserve to hear more about special access programs. Congress has a right to know if there's any unsanctioned weapons development. Satellite imagery that has not been provided to Congress. Congress created the All-Domain Resolution Office in the NDAA of 2022. In its initial analysis, there are 171 uncharacterized UAP reports, and this is the words from the report, that appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities. I believe more information is known about the 171 instances. It's time for Congress to reinsert ourselves. I call on our military leaders and intelligence officials to release more information to the American people about UAPs. And to our military leaders, if there's nothing to conceal, let Congress go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the Dugway Proving Ground, or even Groom Lake in Nevada. We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come. Thank you, Ranking Member.
Thank you, Mr. Moskowitz, and I would yield back now to our chairman. Thank you.
All right, now I'd like to introduce our witnesses. Our first witness is Lieutenant Ryan Graves.
Okay, time
He's
for the
Executive
witnesses,
Director of
child.
Americans for Safe Aerospace. Lieutenant Graves is also a former U.S. Navy F-18 pilot with his own UAP experience. The next witness, David Grush, is a former senior intelligence officer with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and was a senior technical advisor for UAP issues. And finally, retired Navy Commander David Fravor, squadron leader who worked as a naval aviator for 18 years. Mr. Fravor has his own UAP experience, known as the TikTok event. I look forward to hearing from all three of you today. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hands.
They're about to testify to the truth and nothing but the
There
truth.
are over
God
15 million high school students across the U.S. Future builders, leaders.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Let the record show that all the witnesses answered in the affirmative. You may be seated. We appreciate you all being here today and look forward to your testimony. I remind the witness.
And you know why they still gonna lie? Because, baby, you ain't clarified which God.
So we have read your written statements and they will appear in full in the hearing record. Please try to limit your oral statements to 5 minutes. As a reminder, please press the button on the microphone in front of you so that it's on and the members can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, it'll turn yellow, and the red light, when that comes on, it tells you your 5 minutes have expired. I'll now recognize Mr. Graves for 5 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. Chairman Grothman, Ranking Member Garcia, distinguished members of the House Oversight Subcommittee on National Security, Representatives Burchett and Luna. My name is Ryan Fobbs Graves, and I'm a former F-18 pilot with a decade.
About me, and because this was only a partial disclosure that was shrouded mostly in mystery, this disclosure doesn't really accomplish a lot because it's mostly conjecture and a lot of it is hearsay, and a lot of the information falls into a protected classified. So they really wasn't able to get to the bottom of anything. And one of the issues I had with this disclosure is why wasn't a lot of the shit that they weren't able to talk about, they did not present factually to the hearing, Like, girl, y'all should have had y'all PowerPoints. Y'all should have brought in footage. Y'all should have brought in radar. Y'all should have brought in audio. Y'all should have brought in the actual people that y'all are talking on behalf of. I think that this would have brought the reality full circle, because the fact that all that was lacking in this hearing is why the room looked so stale and why nobody seemed to have reacted dramatically to the fact that they're confirming alien life on Earth. You would think there would be more shucking and jiving in the room and more dramatic reaction and emotion in the room, but there was actually a lot of disbelief. Some of Congress members were actually like, nigga. And I'm just like, rightfully so, even though I don't need to be convinced, because I already know the reality and the truth, and I've seen UFOs for myself, and I'm a spiritualist, so I've seen all type of shit. I've experienced all type of things, but this was their opportunity to blow the whistle out of their jawline. This was their opportunity to really sell that shit over. But they came very much so with the least. They made the least effort that could be made in this hearing. And of course, that was by design. Because once again, remember, my belief is that they only even had this hearing because they have to speak to it, because in the information age and in the camera, video, phone having age, they can't just deny this now and chalk it up to something that only crazy people are being delusional and hallucinating about. They can no longer just rely on that anymore. Now what people are seeing, they can prove by way of their phone, by way of their ring cam footage, by way of the dash cam footage. So they have to address it, but with the least amount of effort possible, because they're still trying to control the narrative, and they're still trying to conceal and protect the truth as they know it to be. And it has nothing to do with national security. In my belief, it has nothing to do with our best interests, because if you let them tell it, they're withholding the whole tea, because for our sake and sanity and for the sake of national security, they don't want to put NATO, and they don't want to put our open enemies or even our allies, baby, up on game. And they don't believe the American folk could handle something like this. Baby, if they could handle the Trump administration, baby, if this group of people could fucking survive the pandemic and the Trump administration compounded, bitch, I don't think it's too much, baby, that we can endure. They forget 99.9% of the damn country identifies with a religion, and that's mostly a Abrahamic one. Most of the country already believes in the damn unseen, heaven and hell, God, angels, demons, etc., talking donkeys, flying monkeys, the magical, the supernatural. Religion has already groomed folk to believe that reality is not all that it presents itself to be. They're only withholding the truth because literally they have their own agenda, and they don't need the public infringing upon it. They also don't need us trying to make contact. They don't need us seeking out this intelligence. They needed to say far, 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 far away, which is why I also believe that this attempt to brand this extraterrestrial presence as dangerous and a threat is also intentional. That same white man I showed y'all, Stephen Greer, he recalls a particular, not an abduction, but an alien encounter experience that's very well known amongst the UFOologist community, of a group of men decades ago who experienced an alien spacecraft landing in the desert. And these alien entities came out of the ship and spoke to this group of men. And in their discussion, one of the things that this particular species of extraterrestrial entity shared with the group of men was that all alien life, all alien civilization is non-violent. Non-violent. Now, that also doesn't mean they're not capable of violence, but violence has to be provoked. That's not just an incentive and what these beings, these highly advanced beings, lead from is violence. And I have to give it to the aliens. That seems to be backed up with fact, right? Because if their technology is as technological and is as advanced as it appears to be, they can shoot down nuclear warheads. There's literally been historical events all around the world of UFOs completely seizing control of nuclear plants, completely disarming them, turning off the electrical system, turning it back on, basically showing humans that they are them girls, that she is her baby and her is she, that they them niggas, okay? And that they've done things over the course of history to humble humanity, even in contemporary times. So if we are to believe that they are as advanced as they are, they can spin the block, they can reappear and disappear, they can be in two places at the same time, that they make our warheads, they make our missiles, they make our guns, they make our electronics look like children's toys, relatively speaking, then they probably are non-violent because they've had the means to blow us to smithereens. They've had the means to blow us into smithereens with our own damn nuclear warheads, hell. They've had the means to shoot beams out into cities and disintegrate and blow people and blow cities apart, bitch. I'm talking about Independence Day level. We are and have been essentially ineffective in defending ourselves against this alien presence, whom could take complete advantage of us in our vulnerability, because we have yet to figure out how to compete and exist on a level as it relates to technology. I mean, they are literally and have abducted people through walls. Through walls, have passed through physical objects in their abduction experiences. This is what they're capable of. So if they were in fact a violent species and an actual threat to national security, why haven't they done anything that really legitimizes that claim that they are the threat? Surely there too has been some one-offs. There's been reports of a UFO shooting down a military helicopter, etc. There have been people who have allegedly been taken, never to be seen again, unlike Carly Russell. There have been animals that have been mutilated. Planes disappearing, ships disappeared right off into the Bermuda. Pilots disappeared right through the Bermuda. Once again, our national forests and national parks, thousands of people disappear a year. Out of thin air, gone, without a trace. That's not necessarily violence. It's obstruction. So, like all species, I can only assume that alien species, maybe by and large, are non-violent and more than likely only employ violence as a means. And once again, that seems to be backed up with reality, because these entities could be destroying the planet, enslaving humanity, and all the likes, and yet they are not. Oh, what you mean, Tyrus? Smooth with what? What Tyrus said? Oh, Carly. She said I slid that in there. Like lettuce and tomatoes on a hamburger, baby. Okay, so what do y'all believe? Do y'all believe the government, who is trying to brand alien life as a threat, or do y'all are y'all calling cap? Y'all let me know in the chat.
Service in the U.S. Navy, including 2 deployments in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. Today, I would like to highlight 3 critical issues that demand our action. As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security. It silences commercial pilots who fear professional repercussions, discourages witnesses, and is only compounded by recent government claims questioning the credibility of eyewitness testimony. Parts of our government are aware of more about UAP than they let on, but excessive classification practices keep crucial information hidden. Since 2021, all UAP videos are classified as secret or above. This level of secrecy not only impedes our understanding, but fuels speculation and mistrust. In 2014, I was an F-18 Foxtrot pilot in the Navy Fighter Attack Squadron 11, the Red Rippers. And I was stationed at NAS Oceana in Virginia Beach. After upgrades were made to our jet's radar systems, we began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace. At first, we assumed they were radar errors, but soon we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, 2 F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings. Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs. Recognizing the need for action and answers, I founded Americans for Safe Aerospace. The organization has since become a haven for UAP witnesses who were previously unspoken due to the absence of a safe intake process. More than 30 witnesses have come forward, and almost 5,000 Americans have joined us in the fight for transparency at safeaerospace.org. The majority of witnesses are commercial pilots at major airlines. Often, they are veterans with decades of flying experience. Pilots are reporting UAP at altitudes that appear above them at 40,000 feet, potentially in low Earth orbit or in the gray zone below the Kármán line, making inexplainable maneuvers like right-hand turns and retrograde orbits or J-hooks. Sometimes these reports are reoccurring, with numerous recent sightings north of Hawaii and in the North Atlantic. Other veterans are also coming forward to us regarding UAP encounters in our airspace and oceans. The most compelling involve observations of UAP by multiple witnesses and sensor systems. I believe these accounts are only scratching the surface, and more will share their experiences once it is safe to do so. In closing, I recognize the skepticism surrounding this topic. If everyone could see the sensor and video data I witnessed, our national conversation would change. I urge us to put aside stigma and address the security and safety issue this topic represents. If UAP are foreign drones, it is an urgent national security problem. If it is something else, it is an issue for science. In either case, unidentified objects are concerned for flight safety. The American people deserve to know what is happening in our skies. It is long overdue. Thank you.
Mr. Rush?
Guys, shrimp spaghetti with the kick is what we're gonna make. You guys know that HelloFresh makes cooking dinner.
Mr. Chairman, ranking members and congressmen, thank you. I'm happy to be here. This is an important issue, and I'm grateful for your time. My name is David Charles Grush. I was an intelligence officer for 14 years, both in the U.S. Air Force, both active duty Air National Guard and Reserve, at the rank of major, and most recently from 2021 to 2023, at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, at the GS-15 civilian level, which is the military equivalent of a full bird colonel. I was my agency's co-lead in unidentified anomalous phenomena and transmedium object analysis, as well as reporting to the UAP task force, UAPTF, and eventually, once it was established, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office.
And that's what's interesting. Is I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Liz or Liz, who says that alien abductions are still a violation of human rights and autonomy? So I definitely think they are a bigger picture play. And that's why the wordplay is interesting, because to say nonviolent is nonviolent. Doesn't mean they don't violate human rights. Just nonviolent. But it can be argued that these entities look at us the same way that we look at animals, the same way that we look at our pets, the same way that we look at white lab rats, in the way that we utilize and experiment on monkeys. We experiment on mice for the sake of information, for the sake of data, whatever the agenda is, etc. They say they are non-hostile, that all alien civilization is non-hostile. It's an interesting statement. Were we being lied to? Well, if you let the militaries tell it, and they are going to tell it, there has been apparently hostile manifestation. But then again, we don't have a lot of information about what the situation even was, because could have been a misinterpretation on the experiencer's part, could have been something that was provoked. Of course, military is never going to admit that it provoked any damn thing. So I don't know, how to really read the confirmation from the military that there has been hostile instances. But even then, it sounded like those were few and far in between.
I became a whistleblower through a PPD-19 urgent concern filing in May 2022 with the Intelligence Community Inspector General. Following concerning reports from multiple esteemed and credentialed current...
Exactly, Tyrus, because a morality is a purely... Liz, okay, got it. Because morality is a purely human phenomenon. So what does so-called morality... What would morality look like for another civilization of entities? Is there even a sense of moral compass? I mean, do insects have morals? Do animals have morals? Do they have ethics? This is an exclusive human phenomenon, this thing around morals and ethics. So perspective is very interesting. And of course, there are things that they have done that we deem as a violation. Because obviously rapturing somebody out of their bed and experimenting on their body without consent certainly is not something that's going to be championed, But it appears that they have their reasons and they have their purposes for their behavior. What that is pure speculation. What they're trying to accomplish, I got my own theories. But yeah, it's interesting.
Former military and intelligence community individuals that the U.S. government is operating with secrecy above congressional oversight with regards to UAPs.
My testimony is based on information I've been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country, many of whom also have shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony to myself and my various colleagues. I have taken
exactly a BS speaks.
Every step I can to corroborate this evidence over a period of 4 years while I was with the UAP task force and do my due diligence on the individual sharing it. This is because of these steps, I believe strongly in the importance of bringing this information before you. I am driven by a commitment of both to truth and transparency, rooted in our inherent duty to uphold the United States Constitution and protect the American people. I'm asking Congress to hold our government to this standard and thoroughly investigate these claims. But as I stand here under oath now, I am speaking to the facts as I've been told them. In the U.S. Air Force, in my National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, reservist capacity, I was a member of the UAP Task Force from 2019 to 2021. I served at the NRO Operations Center on the Director's Briefing staff, which included the coordination of the Presidential Daily Brief and supporting a variety of contingency operations, which I was the Reserve Intelligence Division Chief backup. In 2019, the UAP Task Force Director asked me to identify all special access programs and controlled access programs, also known as SAPs and CAPs, we needed to satisfy our congressionally mandated mission, and we were direct report at the time to the DepSecDef. At the time, due to my extensive executive level intelligence support duties, I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments and in a position of extreme trust, both in my military and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower. As you know, I've suffered retaliation for my decision, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. Commander Fravor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Congressmen, Congresswomen. I want to first thank you for the invitation to speak to the committee on the UAP topic that's been in the news for the past 6 years and seems to be continuing to gain momentum. As you know, my name is David Fravor. I'm a retired commander in the United States Navy. In 2004, I was a commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 41, the world-famous Black Aces. We were attached to Carrier Wing 11, stationed on board the USS Nimitz, and had begun a 2-month workup cycle off the coast of California. On this day, we were scheduled for a 2v2 air-to-air training with the USS Princeton as our control. When we launched off Nimitz, my wingman was joining up. We were told that the training was going to be suspended and we were going to proceed with real-world tasking. As we proceeded to the west, the air controller was counting down the range to an object that we were going to, and we were unaware of what we were going to see when we arrived. The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is...
Wow, these objects were observed for 2 weeks straight for hours, just chilling in the sky, and then would take off.
We arrived at the location at approximately 20,000 feet, and the controller called merge plot, which means that our radar blip was now in the same resolution cell as the contact. As we looked around, we noticed that we saw some whitewater off our right side. It's important to note that the weather on this day was as close to perfect as you could ask for off the coast of San Diego. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no whitecaps from waves. So the whitewater stood out in a large blue ocean. All four of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down a small, saw a white tic-tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look at the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the tic-tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We continued down another 270 degrees, nose low, where the tic-tac, or we continued 270 degrees to where, and we went nose low to where the tic-tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the tic-tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingman, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as we started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cap point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute. You can calculate the speed." We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews who was getting ready to launch. We mentioned it to him, and they went out and luckily got the video that you see, that 90-second video. What you don't see is the radar tape that was never released, and we don't know where it's at, of the active jamming that the object put on an APG-73 radar, and I can get into modes later if you're interested. What is shocking to us is that the incident was never investigated. None of my crew were ever questioned. Tapes were never taken. And after a couple of days, it turned into a great story with friends. It wasn't until 2009 until Jay Stratton had contacted me to investigate. Unbeknownst to all, he was part of the ATIP program in the Pentagon led by Lou Elizondo. There was an unofficial official report that came out that's now on the internet. Years later, I was contacted by the other pilot, Alex Dietrich, and asked if I'd been contacted. And I said, no, but I'm willing to talk. I was contacted by Mr. Elizondo, and we talked for a short period of time. And he said we'd be in contact. A few weeks after that, I was made aware that Lou had left the Pentagon in protest and joined forces with Tom DeLonge, Chris Mellon, Steve Justice, and others to form Two Stars Academy, an organization that pressed the issue with leading industry experts and U.S. government officials. They worked with Leslie Keane, who is present today, Ralph Blumenthal, and Helene Cooper to publish the articles in the New York Times 2017 New York Times. And it removed the stigma on the topic of UFOs, which is why we're here today. Those articles open the door for the government and public that cannot be closed. It has led to an interest from our elected officials who are not focused on little green men, but figuring out where these craft are, where are they from, the technology they possess, how do they operate. It also led to the Whistleblower Protection Act and the NDAA. There are multiple witnesses coming forward to say that have firsthand knowledge, and Mr. Grush.
I want y'all to pay attention to that, because that's also what's interesting too, is that what you will hear in a lot of these conversations and exchanges about UFOs is interesting, that the colonizers are always interested in the UFOs. That made no sense to me. Because obviously, yes, the technology is obviously impressive. It's obviously advanced. It obviously will strike an interest to anybody with any damn sense. But how can you be more interested in the technology than you are the entities who produced, manufactured, created that technology? That technology came out of the mind. The imagination came out of the wits, came out of the intellect of the entities themselves. But then again, when I thought about the psychology and the pathology of colonizers, this made perfect sense, right? Because the colonizers have always been interested in what other groups had and not the groups themselves. They've always found the groups disposable. Found the actual gods of the world they were in disposable, and just interested in seizing the material, having no interest in the substance thereof. We've seen this with the Native Americans. We've seen this with indigenous blacks. We've seen this with Africans. We've seen the colonizers and how they move. I had to remind myself of who I was observing in this case. This has been a part of their practice. Fuck the people and seize the stuff. And they got the same mind today that they've had since coming up out of the mountaintops, baby. My.
That. What concerns me is that there's no oversight from our elected officials on anything associated with our government processing or working on craft. Believe it or not, from this world. This issue is not a full public disclosure that could undermine national security, but it is about ensuring that our system of checks and balances works across all work done in the government using taxpayer funds. Relative to government programs, even unacknowledged wave programs have some level of oversight by the appropriate committee members in the House and Senate. And this work that is said to be occurring from whistleblower testimonies should not be exempt. In closing, I would like to say that the Tic-Tac object we engaged in 2004 was far superior to anything that we had on time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 years. If we in fact have programs that possess this technology, it needs to have oversight from those people that the citizens of this great country elected in office to represent what is best for the United States and best for the citizens. I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I know it's very difficult for all of you. All you've done the best to try to illuminate this issue.
Girl, I couldn't have been in this meeting, girl. Like, these folk act like they talking about adding and subtraction, bitch. Do you know I would have been running around this goddamn a courthouse, girl, with my wig to the bike, baby, titties wide open, screaming, girl, the aliens out here, girl, the aliens out here, girl. Do you know how they would have had to pump me up with all type of goddamn Prozac and electrolytes, girl, and NyQuil and shit, bitch? Either these folk, either Congress don't believe the bullshit because it's just a bunch of abba yabba dabba damn do, or either maybe they all in on it. They already know what time it is, and all of them just too goddamn old and rich to perform shock, girl. They probably done hired some of the goddamn extraterrestrials, girl, who are personal chefs for their family, girl. While they're giving us the rest of the shocking disclosure about aliens being here, girl. Because it's very zombie-like in the room for y'all to be talking about high-level non-human intelligence, bitch, that are flying damn triangles and flying circles and rectangles around in your damn sky that's capable of damn transcending time and space. For a room full of motherfuckers talking about intergalactic entities that can contort time and create wormholes, girl, and travel from one end of the damn universe to the other end of the damn universe, they seem mighty unimpressed, girl. Ain't nobody bust a sweat yet. And that's another good point, Kiwana. They're also doing it unwillingly. Or maybe this is a part of the script. I was thinking about this, right? They don't want to talk about this. The real government is upset that it fucked up and gave us technology that now has forced them to have to confront the alien situation in the world, because once again, you can no longer shove and discount these accounts because we can capture them on these beautiful devices that capture the damn decimal on a dollar sign. So a part of the script might have been, we got to address this. However, we're going to do it with the least effort. We're not going to present any physical evidence. It's going to be mere testimony, secondhand knowledge, and our presentation needs to be as robotic and needs to be as stoic as possible. Because a part of the present, if we were to present from a place of incitement and thrill, we would actually be invoking convincibility. And we're trying to do the bare minimum and just be able to declare that we did go there and speak about this and address this. But we don't want to be convincing because we're still trying to control the narrative that ultimately, y'all, there's nothing to look at here. That's what the incentive is. They still want to conceal this truth, to control this truth, and to utilize this truth for their own self-gain. They don't need the public gaining an interest. They don't need the public taking this seriously. So let's do the bare minimum, present no factuality, let it all be conjecture, and let's make sure we present as stale as possible, girl, so that this is not memorable. Let's make it as non-memorable as possible. Okay? Do the bare minimum, make it non-memorable. This could all be by design, to keep the public off their ass and to keep the public from a collective interest in this area. That's more than likely by design. Now that I'm thinking about it. By design. Everybody's acting here. Talking about some real shit. Also telling a few lies. Committing some slander. Because even the whole threat to national security, they made sure to introduce a bit of the fear-mongering into this. Dissuade these folk from interacting with these things because, hell, these entities and their technology is tangible. These things can pop up in a motherfucker's backyards. Hello to the Las Vegas family girl who had 10-foot tall green entities, girl, crawling all on top of their goddamn rooftop and trying to crank up their goddamn mopeds and shit. Let's be unconvincing. Let's produce no facts. And let's introduce fear. Wait a minute. You got the three fundamentals of keeping a motherfucker off. That's how you keep any motherfucker off your trail about anything. That's how you tell a persuasive lie. You tell a persuasive lie by not being persuasive at all. You just control the elements of the presentation. If I don't make this a big deal, you won't make it a big deal. If I have a, oh, that's nothing. There's nothing going on here. If I don't talk in a convincing way, you ain't convinced either. See, they're playing psychological warfare right now. Once again, the occultic principle is all truth has to come unto the light. So they got to put everything in plain sight. They got to put real shit in plain sight. But once again, they don't have to teach you, educate you, or enlighten you about what's in front of you. And when people get too smart and they wake up and they start asking some real questions and things become undone, then shadow government has to go into crisis and PR mode. Well, let's address it. But we can address this thing in a way that won't spark any fucking interest. Make this shit boring. Present no motherfucking facts. And for the most part, share second and third hand knowledge. Let's do the bare minimum here, you guys. Let's just get this over with. So we can get back to fucking the aliens that we're going to tell the rest of the world are here, but are not a big deal. And then the truth about aliens, which is that they are here. They are amongst us. And that's what they are confessing to. But they just don't want to be convincing so that they don't spark interest, is also going to be co-opted. Because now that they've introduced a conversation, this can be a money grab. And they can take out tax-paying dollars and invest in SpaceX and start developing weapons of defense, funding programs to protect us. They can start pulling at our wallets. The truth is going to be co-opted by the liars and the opportunists, etc. And the only real thing that happened in this hearing was the fact that they acknowledge what is real. But that's all they want to do. That was the bare minimum. And then from there, this would be capitalism. Okay? Because these aliens are a threat to national security, we now need to crowdfund to protect ourselves from this invisible, non-violent, non-hostile threat. Propaganda and bullshit will spin. And this is why the truth always gets buried. The facts get muddied up because you got all these agendas that smother out the truth. And that's why we call it the rabbit hole. Because when you're dealing with systems, yeah, the truth gets muddied out. Because it attracts 50 million 11 different types of interests, different types of agendas that are working to accomplish its own end and its own means. It either will destroy itself or it'll destroy us.
I'm going to start with Mr. Graves. Are pilots that you interact with as part of your organization, do you feel adequately trained and briefed on how to handle encounters with UAPs?
No. Right now, military witnesses to UAP have limited options for reporting UAP. But more concerning is that commercial aviation sector has not adapted to the lessons that the military has implemented. The military and Department of Defense has stated that UAP represent a critical aviation safety risk. We have not seen that same language being used in the commercial markets. They are not acknowledging this risk.
Okay. What steps do you think you have to be taken to improve a pilot's UAP reporting, be it military or commercial?
Right now, we need a system where pilots can report without fear of losing their jobs. There is a fear that the stigma associated with this topic is going to lead to professional repercussions, either through management or perhaps through their yearly.
They don't even have any reason yet to feel this is a threat. They initially opened up the whole goddamn hearing with how this phenomenon been around forever. Humans being reporting it, civilians been reporting it, military government personnel been reporting it. The stories they've shared so far have been about just these objects being in the sky as military is doing their testing flight patterns and all type of shit. They come and they go. Hell, the last man to speak literally said a formation of UFOs just stayed in the same place for hours chilling and then went on about their business. But y'all keep seeing, despite them not telling you and giving you any example of hostility from these entities, but they still want to implement threat to national security, threat to. They haven't reported one military pilot who has crashed into any of these objects. They haven't testified to one invasion regarding these entities with their technology. But they are a threat. 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 Thank you, Ebony.
Check. So having a secure system, reducing the stigma, and making this information available through the public is going to reduce the concerns that aircrew have.
Could you just give me a little idea of the degree to which reports in the past are not made public right now?
Well, I don't think there has been a proper reporting system to gather those reports and thus not report them. So to answer your question, I think there is a dearth of data due to the fact that the reporting has been limited up to this time.
Could you tell me why you believe it's kind of play the devil's advocate, a reason why some of this stuff should not be available to the public?
There's certainly some national security concerns when we use our advanced sensors in our tactical jets to be able to identify these objects. However, there's no reason that the objects themselves would be classified. I would be curious to see how the security classification guideline actually spells out the different nuances of how this topic is classified from the perspective of UAP, not national security.
I'll give you a follow-up on that. Assuming that there are reasons why not all this should be made public, this has been around for a long period of time. Can any of the three of you think of any reason why anything related to UAPs, say 15 years and back, should not be immediately made public?
So you think you know Wix? Do you really? First up, we've got.
I think one of it is acknowledging a vulnerability, both from a collection and I'll just say a countermeasure perspective. So it's that we haven't cracked for many years. Yeah.
Even say 20 years back. Is there any reason why when you go back that far, things shouldn't be made public?
Unless it shows a specific national security vulnerability as it relates to a weakness in particular defense system.
Okay, Mr. Fravor, the TikTok incident that you were engaged occurred in 2004. What kind of reporting took place after that incident?
None. We had a standard debrief where the backseaters went down to our carrier intel center and briefed what had happened, and that was it. No one else talked to us, and I was in the top 20 in the battle group. No one came. The captain was aware, the admiral was aware. Nothing was done.
Your commanding officers provide any sort of justification?
No, because I was the commanding officer of the squadron, so no.
Was this incident the only UAP event that you encountered while you were a pilot?
Yes, it was.
Okay. This is for any one of you. Based off of each of your experiences and observations, do you believe UAPs pose a potential threat to our national security?
Yes, and here's why.
Look at how long before
the technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had, and you could put that anywhere. If you had one, you captured one, you reverse engineered it, you got it to work. You're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave. And there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.
Okay. You two?
Well, I would also like to add from commercial aviation.
Yeah, but the gag is, y'all already said that's always been the case. This has been around for decades in documented U.S. history, but it's been around for centuries. They're literally talking as if this phenomenon is just like yesterday. You've already had at least 100 years to observe this phenomenon being capable of doing all the hostile, invasive things that you are hypothesizing. But yet, did nothing for centuries, for a century at least, about just that. So once again, the question is valid. Why now? They've acknowledged this phenomenon, old as hell. These reports, encounters, old as hell. Decades and decades and decades of history, documented history in U.S. history, both from civilians, governmental, military personnel. Y'all always knew this was the case. Y'all had observed this being the case for over a century. The why now is because of this little bad boy here, baby. Y'all got to get in there and try to control the narrative now. It done got away from y'all because y'all can't lie and discredit these sightings, these encounters, and this information goes up immediately when it's captured. Goes right on out into Miss YouTube, into Miss TikTok, and into Miss Snapchat, and into Miss Facebook, girl. So y'all got to have the conversation. But of course, to admit that would admit that there's an agenda. And of course, you don't want to admit that there's an agenda. So you can't say, hey, what the truth really is, because you'll spill your own goddamn tea if you do. But of course, that's why. And see, the way these liars be set up, they do such a bad job at lying, like all liars do. They don't maintain continuity. Then they start contradicting themselves. Once again, you see how they talking as if this shit just showed up yesterday. Like, oh my God, they can be at one place, but then 3 different motherfucking mayonnaise folk. The intro was all dedicated to how long this phenomenon been around. How many decades it's been reported. How many people done seen it, experienced it, etc. And now, all of a sudden, it's a threat to national security. And now, all of a sudden, you have a concern because these things can just pretty much do as thou wilt. And there ain't a goddamn thing we can do about it. There's never been a goddamn thing we could do about it. And then the fact that these entities and this technology hasn't even done the things that y'all are hypothesizing and fear-mongering over just goes to show that there's also intentional slander being committed against UAPs and UFOs and non-human biologic intelligence. See, they're shaping the narrative, but they just doing a terrible job at doing so. Terrible job at doing so.
Aviation perspective, we deal with uncertainty in our operating space as a matter of our professional actions. Identifying friend from foe is very important to us. And so when we have unidentified targets.
So that's the thing catch me out. There are already claims that aliens, that interdimensional, extraterrestrial, whatever the fuck one want to call it, has already done just that. It's been a long-standing knowledge that the elite have been in contact with these intelligences for a long time. That matter of fact, part of the reason why our own community, our own humanity and societies are as advanced as they are is because we've been retrieving information and knowledge from these entities who have been helping us and assisting us in the evolution of human consciousness and to help us to enter into a highly technological age. Because we are colluding, because we are collaborating with these entities, which ironically, once again, right, these are not old things that were just conjured up by folk with wild imaginations. This concept is, once again, goes all the way back to biblical heyday. The whole book of Enoch is completely based on this concept. Enoch spoke in the book of Enoch about how the watchmen, those angels, those sons of God who came down and made it and took human wives for themselves, also taught those humans, taught those human women spells, ritualistic magic, charms, taught them eternal things, taught us the constellations, astrology, makeup, taught men how to war, how to develop weapons of war. And all this knowledge came from these angelic hosts who lived and operated alongside humanity. These are not old concepts. So cats meow, yeah, very well, apparently it's already the case. That the highest level of government and secret society in the world is already colluding with intelligences of this nature. And that's why we're seeing an escalation and an acceleration in human technology and man-made technology. Look at where we've gone in just 20 years. Just to think, 20 years ago, there was no social media. 20 years ago, there was no Siri. There was no none of this. Now we have AI performing surgery. We're cloning. We are integrating AI and human consciousness, blurring the lines. We are opening up our front doors and our car doors through chips in our hands. Look at Elon Musk. Look at Bill Gates. They're already creating mind technology that will allow you to control your environment literally through the capacity of your thoughts. You want to change the channel? You'll be able to think the channel into being changed. The invention of the multiverse. After a while, we won't even have to leave our homes in order to do anything. We'll be able to actually have sex through mental telepathy. They're literally creating the technology and testing that technology right now. I was reading an article just a few months ago. I believe it was Elon Musk. Is Elon Musk the one who owns SpaceX? Let me see something. I think Elon Musk owns SpaceX. This technology is already being used overseas. The Demolition Man, yeah. Simulated sex. And simulated sex is already going on in the metaverse. There's already PS5 games you can play with virtual helmets. Put you right in the simulation. Where you can feel the touch, you can feel the kiss, you can feel the violence. Yep, a Neuralink. That's what I was mentioning. Thank you for that Wee Hours podcast. Neuralink. Inserting chips that give you psychic control over your environment. After a while, that chip will probably be mandated so that you can do what? Buy and sell. Isn't that type of verbiage very familiar as well? Isn't it? We can already see that the stage is being set. Stage is being set. Transhumanism is going to be the wave of the future. Immortality, extending the essence of physical life. All because we got help from the people above. And the people above we've always been in a relationship to the people above. In some cultures, you will find a loving, poetic narrative about the sky people, about these spirits, or this other kind of life that man has made contact with through prayer, through meditation, through astral projection, psychic interaction. And then in other mythologies and narratives of culture, you've seen a pretty dark history and a pretty dark outcome. I wouldn't mind the immortality. I don't want it, baby. I'm so glad we got to die. I'm so glad I got to die, baby. I could not imagine being alive forever. Not with these motherfuckers. Please wrap this shit up, baby. I hope this shit does expire. Not with these motherfuckers. Don't want to be here with none of these motherfuckers at all. Ain't gonna miss it, baby. When my time is up, baby, take me to the upper room, baby. I won't be looking back like Gov't in Sodom and Gomorrah, baby, when my time comes, sugar. When it's time for me to biggity bounce up out this motherfucker, baby, I'm gone. No resuscitation, baby. Let me go, baby. I'm gone. Hell no. I could not do this shit. Baby, I can't even believe I did 37 years, yet alone all the years. No, ma'am. Take me to the king, baby. I'm leaving the wig behind, baby. Baby, God gonna snatch me clean up out my outfit, bitch, okay? All you gonna see is the outfit and the wig drop to the ground, girl. Gone. God gonna take the body, baby. That's how gone I'm gonna be, baby. God gonna take the body too. Ain't gonna even be nothing to bury, baby. You can hang it all back up in the closet, sure. Cause the bitch gonna be gone. Gone. Y'all be seeing them damn vampire movies, girl, where them damn vampires be miserable, girl, because they done had to watch everything they know come and go again, girl. Ooh, so y'all, it's people who want to live forever, for real? Oh, no, man. Girl, I don't even know if I want to do 50, yet alone forever, girl. I just be like, girl, even 37 is enough for me, baby. I be like, girl, you go ahead and take me in the quiet of the night, baby. I would be too mad then, baby. I remember when my appendix had ruptured and I had damn appendix surgery back in 2018, 2019, girl, and I thought I was about to die, baby. A bitch was quick to call all his relatives, girl. I'm about to go. Love y'all, honey. Okay, take care of the kids for me. Kiss everybody goodbye, baby. Ready to go, honey. Okay? Bye, mama. See you later, grandma. I'll come back for you, girl. Okay? I'll be there at your bedside like Casper, girl, when it's your turn at 97,000. Baby, a bitch was ready to go, honey. Okay? I be feeling like Paul in the New Testament, girl. I'm alive simply because of the will of the Lord, girl. I am not alive because I am personally interested in life, girl. Okay, life ain't that deep. It ain't been that interesting of a damn experience, baby. Okay, it ain't been all that it's cracked up to be, sugar. All my life I had to fight, bitch. Bring retirement on. Shit. Anyway, I don't know how the hell we got there, girl. Let's get back to this shit.
Continue to ignore those due to a stigma or a fear of what it could be, that's an opening that our adversaries can take advantage of.
What steps should be taken to better understand and respond to UAP encounters in the interest of national security?
There needs to be a location where this information is centralized for processing, and there needs to be a two-way communication loop so the operators on the front end have a feedback and can get best practices on how to process information, what to do, and to ensure that their reporting is being listened to. Right now, there is not a lot of back and forth.
Mr. Grush, in your complaint to the Intelligence Community Inspector General, you claim that you believe information is being hidden. What kind of information do you think was hidden, and do you think it should remain hidden?
Yes, I can speak to that very briefly in unclassified manner. As you know, the preponderance of my complaint was classified to the intelligence communities. Both material acquisition and exploitation activity, also baselining the UAPs, but not sharing it with the intelligence professionals that are actually doing step briefs to pilots. That kind of information. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll go to Mr. Garcia.
Thank you. Again, thank you all for your service and for testifying today. Want to just talk about the UAPs as it relates to what we're seeing in the pilots' interaction with UAPs. Particularly, Mr. Graves, one of the, I think, concerns for members of this committee is this idea that pilots, there's no system to actually report UAPs and the stigma around pilots. And so can you just briefly, you mentioned that you're working with 30 pilots right now that have had encounters with UAPs, but you've also, I believe, discussed and know of many more pilots. This is just those that you're currently working with. Is that correct? Can you expand on that?
Certainly. I'll break that down in two ways. First, when we were first experiencing these objects off the eastern seaboard in the 2014 to 2015 time period, anyone that had upgraded their radar systems were seeing these objects. So there was a large number of my colleagues that were detecting these objects off the eastern seaboard. They were further correlating that information with the other onboard sensors, and many of them also had their own eye sightings as well of these objects. Now, that was our personal firsthand experience at the time. Since then, as I've engaged this topic, others have reached out to me to share their experiences, both on the military side as well as the commercial aviation side. On the military aviation side, veterans that have recently got out have shared their stories and have expressed how the objects we were seeing in 2014, 2015 continued all the way to 2019, 2020, and beyond. And so it became a generational issue for naval aviators on the eastern seaboard. This was something we were briefing to new students. This is something that was included in the notice to airmen to ensure that there was no accidents. And now with commercial aviators, they're reaching out because they're having somewhat similar experiences as our military brothers and sisters, but they do not have any reporting system that they can send us to.
And let me just add both to Mr. Fravor as well as Mr. Graves, not having the system for reporting, would you both agree that it's harmful to not just our national security interests, but to understand this phenomenon of what's happening with UAPs?
I think it's actually a travesty that we don't have a system to correlate this and actually investigate. So if you took the East Coast, there's coastal radars out there that monitor our air defense identification zone, so out to 200 miles. They can track these, so when you see them, they can actually go and pull that data and get maneuvering. And instead of just having the airplanes, there's other data sources out there.
So let me pause.
I've talked to other government officials on this.
Damn, I don't even feel like we done been here for almost 3 hours. I feel like I just got on here. Wow. Okay, so we're going to have to do a part 2, you guys, to this, because I don't want this stream to run forever. I do want to give my thoughts. The conversation does start spiking and getting very interesting toward like the middle end. So we're going to do a part 2 for sure. But right now I want to give my thoughts. First of all the folk who always believed in aliens knew that other forms of intelligences were here, whether they were physical intelligences, physical non-human intelligence, or whether they were spiritual, metaphysical, interdimensional, etc., girl, but knew they was here, girl. We all need a motherfucking restitution check, girl. We all need, girl, a check for them punitive damages, girl, on our reputations and on our minds, girl, because we got caught all type of crazy, and now the conversation about UFOs and aliens are happening at the tippity top of the goddamn mountain, girl. The damn United States Congress, girl, the Supremes of Courts, girl, are now trading off information about the reality of non-human biologic intelligence. Run those conspiracy theories, they motherfucking check, baby. For 2, this was cute, but there was a lot of propaganda being put into this so-called disclosure. Okay? Them not presenting no facts when they have them. Them making sure they go out of their way to be as stoic and non-emotional and non-dramatic as possible is intentional. And the only motherfucking reason them hoes is even talking is because, once again, we got these, bitch. So they can't tell none of us that we lying about what we observing. They can't tell us that what happened in our field last night is a lie now. They can't tell us what happened, baby, on the lake, at the pool, out there fishing in the ocean and things is a lie now, because we got these sweet little devices now. So they had to, that they were forced to talk about something that they would prefer to stay concealed and in the dark, because the U.S. government, the real government, wants an intimate relationship with this consciousness so that this knowledge cannot get into the hands of not only their enemies, which become our enemies, but it also doesn't get into our hands as well. Because this knowledge, more than likely, by way of contact and relationship to these intelligences, probably could reset humanity entirely. Our U.S. government is in relationship. All world governments at this point are in relationship to these entities. They're in contract with one another. And more than likely, these entities being allowed to abduct, to mutilate animals, to do the things that they do are a part of the trade-off. They're going to let these entities terraform the planet, experiment, do as they will, do their own bidding, pursue their own interests in exchange for said knowledge and insight into the development of said technology. And that's why they haven't bothered to go to war with these things. They haven't bothered to give a fuck about civilians reporting being taken, being shook, being abused, being damn near raped by these entities, because all that's a part of the contract. They are allowing these aliens, these intelligences, to experiment on us because, for one, hell, our own government been experimenting on us. They don't give a fuck about us, so we're always for sale. The people are always for sale. The people are always auctionable. We're just collateral for these systems. So there's some mutual agreement between the parties. Okay? And the reason why they made sure in this stale hearing about what's happening in our skies, etc., the reason why they inserted fear, once again, is so that your black ass don't get no ideas. So that your mayonnaise ass don't get no ideas, baby. Because these entities are just as free-willed as any other human being is. And the fact that they can operate in secrecy of that means that our military and government know that they can't control if these things make intimate contact with us, share knowledge with us. The government knows they can't control that. So they're adding an extra insurance, even though they have their word. Even though they have mutual bond and agreement contractually about the ins and outs of this thing, our government knows ultimately these motherfuckers can do what the fuck they want. So they're putting an extra insurance on making sure that all avenues for us to be enlightened by these entities is stunted by the propaganda of fear. So just in case these motherfuckers get out of hand, just in case they want to come down to y'all and talk to y'all about a few things and share some world history and some planetary history and some universal knowledge with y'all, that y'all will shun the encounter because you've been brainwashed to fear them. They are a threat to national security. They are a threat to your very livelihood and well-being. So you better run in the middle of the night from this intelligence if they ever pop up on your rooftop and come down your damn chimney like Santa Claus. Because that family in Vegas was about to have a few new things in their goddamn egg. I mean, underneath their goddamn tree, baby, this year. Fear is also energetic and a few for the malevolent ones. That's right. Fear also helps to sustain all the goddamn portals and vortexes that are being used for lower spiritual beings to come in and out of, outside of these entities. But they have an invested interest in these entities because of their power, the scope of their technology. And we all know that each one of these nations are seeking just that, right? Power, dominance. Every nation want to be the baddest bitch on the block. So all nations would be interested in relationship to these entities, because through this technology can come domination. But they know they can't control the entities, not in any real substantive way. And right now our government is insecure because they're forced to take the word of an enemy or of an opponent or of another that's in fact more powerful than them. But our government hates it. They hate that sense of vulnerability. And they're also reverse engineering the living fuck out of this motherfucking technology, not only to dominate us, but so that they can colonize the very same entities who they're pretending to be in righteous union with. Also, God only knows what these fucking entities have been told by our world government. We don't know what their perception is of humanity. And that's probably also what the government is trying to protect by introducing fear about a civilization that has yet to do anything to legitimize these claims that they are a threat. We know they're obviously more technologically advanced. We can see that through all the evidence that we ain't got shit on these entities. But keeping them from us and keeping us from them is a way to control the narrative. It's like when parents are pitting two siblings against each other. They tell one thing, they tell the other another, to make sure there's a constant divide. Because divide and conquer is what these colonizers do. And remember, they said it. They said it, not me. They said personnel has interests in the technology, not even the entities, as if the technology built itself. As if the technology gave birth to itself. But that's what colonizers do. They obsess over the stuff that sparkles in their eye and dispose of the people who create it. Completely disregard for them. And they plan on disregarding these motherfuckers too. Now, maybe extraterrestrial life already knows that. Who knows how informed they are about human dynamics and the nuances of each human sector and each human government and each human nation. Is my sound out, you guys? Or Phyllis saying that her sound is out? Is my sound out? Can y'all hear me? Or is it just Phyllis? Oh, y'all hear me? Okay, cool. And right now, no. They need to drive the wedge, right? And do the bare minimum. Because right now, the church and religion is lucrative. And the church, the religions have helped to disillusion the people. So they're not interested yet in getting rid of the churches. They need all of those systems to stay resurrected. Because those systems help to muddy up the truth as well. The Christians ain't interested in teaching about no damn aliens. But that's good for the government. Because the government don't want your ass knowing about no motherfucking extraterrestrial life and no non-human intelligences that's just tangible to begin with. So keeping people packed into their churches and their temples and their synagogues is actually working for the betterment of the government, who want as much suppression of this information as possible. Now, in this conversation, we're going to hear the rest of in part 2. They get into the non-biologic bodies that's been retrieved from these crash sites. And one of the Congress members talks, he kind of chuckles because he just finds it hard to believe that highly advanced non-human entities that are advanced enough to travel through space and time and to be able to cross mass amounts of distances to get here would all of a sudden be capable of crashing, falling out of the damn sky, and yet have traveled light years in the blink of an eye. But I want you to remember this: as heightened as this civilization is, all technology created by any living thing is inherently flawed. When God finished with creation, God didn't say it is perfect. God said it is good. There is no such thing as perfection in the known universe. Only God itself is capable of existing in total perfection. Creation is complete and creation is good, but creation is not perfect. All things created have their vulnerability and are susceptible to vulnerability. I found it also interesting that when the congressman was kind of chuckling and finding this hard to believe, he didn't consider that there was a lot of context that wasn't provided. Because the other reality is we don't know what caused these crashes. He was making the assumption that these aliens just didn't know what they were doing and just fell to the ground, and that sounded ridiculous to them, considering that they're intergalactic beings who would be masters of the air. What we have to consider is that there could be atmospheric in-house warring going on between these entities, because there are species of aliens. You got the Greys, you got the reptilians, you got so many species of non-human biologic consciousness. We don't know the context of why these aircrafts crashed. More than likely, it was probably due to hostile infighting amongst their own. We never see the fight. We just see the end result, which is the crash landing and the alleged bodies that are found about the wreckage with no context to the fall. So we can't make assumptions about why these highly advanced crafts and their highly intelligent, even more intelligent occupants and pilots hit the ground. We don't know what that's about. We don't know whether some of these crafts, some of the pilots in these crafts are even all as experienced as the other. Maybe they do testing as well in our skies. Maybe some of these crashes are due to the amateur pilots. And we all know there's always going to be casualties. We don't know what the context is of the crashes. Yeah, it could have been an interdimensional fighting. It could have been an amateur pilot coming out of a wormhole too quick, lost control. Remember when one of the personnel in the hearing said that the military has observed these crafts just stationary, sitting there for hours while military were doing their own testing? Hell, they might do their own testing with their young, etc. We don't know the nature of even the entities. Are they born as adults, as an adult specimen? Do they have a childhood? And then this is another thing. They were called biologics. But what are we comparing biologics to? How do we know that what appears to be, because I have to imagine that when these bodies are retrieved and they go back for autopsies and they're cut open and dissected, how do we know that their insides are biological material to begin with? These grays could be avatars for the actual species behind them. These grays could be an alien's version of AI. And their bio wouldn't look like our bio. What we would be looking at in the bodies of these grays, calling it biomaterial. What are we comparing that to? Their biology wouldn't look like our biology. Their physiology isn't our physiology. How do we know that the liquid that oozes from them is not their form of gasoline or fuel, rather than it be blood? I just want to understand, like, how are we, what's the metric or the scale for these things? How are we defining that? If these entities come from a whole nother world, they come from a whole nother reality, they come from a whole nother dimension, or a whole nother part of the physical universe. I'm just curious to know what their metric is. I just want to understand, what are we comparing this to? How do we know that what we're looking at on the inside of them is biomaterial? We can only call biomaterial as we know biomaterial to be in our plane of existence. And maybe that's what it is. These things do have organs, etc. But, well, then that would be interesting. But they didn't, I don't think they really like had that conversation. I wanted them to be more like defining and nuance, and like, I wish I would have been a part of this goddamn panel. Because, you know, I be wanting to understand something down to the damn molecular level. Like downright to the damn nitty of the gritty, down to the damn bone. I want to know these things. But we're going to get into part 2. I'm going to leave this marker here. It took us 3 hours to get through 46 minutes of the damn video because I was running my damn mouth. So this was clearly more commentary than it was footage. Part 2, I'm going to try to let there be more footage and then save all my damn commentary. The universe is endless, and there is an unnumbered amount of planetary systems, beings, etc. Us humans are nothing in the vast universe. Yeah, we are a small part of a whole bunch of nothing. You would have blown my baby. I need to get up in there. Need to get up in there. I think we are dealing with an interdimensional phenomenon. I do think this phenomenon is more interdimensional than it is intergalactic. I think these entities are more spiritual. in terms of their nature than they are physical in nature. And I think they live and exist and come out of parallel realities to ours. They live in another parallel dimension, not necessarily from another planet physically, across physical space, but they come from another plane of consciousness. And we're going to get into that. What do they want? Who are they? And what's their agenda? What's the government's agenda? We're going to expound upon that more in part 2. So, thank you guys for staying with me. There is so, and we're going to talk about it there, but we're going to talk about, I told y'all we was going to be talking more about the freaky shit. We're going to still do our celebrity shit and all that, but we're going to be talking about this freaky shit going on in the world, girl. Missing 411 the whole 9, baby. I got content coming for y'all, baby. We're gonna get into the deep of it, sugar. Okay, because there's a lot going on in the world, a whole lot going on. Okay, and once again, we only scratching the surface. It's only the beginning of the beginning. Stage being set. This is gonna be one hell of an era, the age of Aquarius, baby. Thank you, exquisite lady. Thank you so much. Thank you, Facet Perspectives. Could they be looking for mineral wealth? Could be. We don't know. There's a journalist who went to, it was one of those Indian reservoirs, and the chief Indian there at this Indian reservoir. The story ended up kind of in the mainstream because there's a lake at this reservoir that's been drying up, and the citizens of this community have been reporting an alien spacecraft that's been coming down and sucking water out of the lake, drying the lake up, and this lake is essential to the community. So a journalist went down there. Her and her team had went down there to check out the story. And indeed, there's a lake there, and it's been drying up. And all of the townsmen have reported seeing this orb, seeing this craft vacuuming water up out of this lake, and they want it to stop. They want this spacecraft, they want this Indian, they want this Indian girl, they want this alien consciousness to stop sucking up the fucking natural resources at their reservation. And they thought that this journalist could actually help. The people are actually trying to appeal to the government to have them intercede to prohibit this spacecraft, this alien spacecraft, from coming down and drying up this water that's essential to the fucking community. Amazing. So now they're testing the lake to see if they can find any, of course, scientific reason for why the lake is drying up, or to see if there's been any foreign materials that will show up in the makeup of the water, since something otherworldly is allegedly interacting with this body of water, etc. Might be a part of the deal. And once again, the way that these things get away with what they get away with leads one to believe for sure that our governments are in relationship to these entities and that they are collaborating in part and also have their own separate agendas, but have a mutual agenda as well. And it's all going to come up to a boil. It always does. Always does. So We'll be coming back in part 2. Love you guys. Please thumbs up this video. Share. Tell a friend of a friend of a friend. I love you guys, and I will see you all later.